That's over a week. There's that too. I'll figure that out. In black. Okay. Something's wrong with that. I would want it to work. This is actually going to be more hassle than I expected. Get back into swing of it. Alright. Let's do a... Can we get a test? Now I have to remember how to play this game. Oh, I thought I was just going to have a chill Sunday. Regretting it. I regret going online already. I don't remember how everything works. It's only been a week, you know. How can I... Yeah, kind of makes sense, actually. What a week can do. Alright. Beat that up. Save 30 frames per second. What we're going to want to do is get an audio tester. I didn't do the GIF things. Now let's see what we got. Alright, the game's pretty loud at 3%. Okay. Then we've got to do a mic check. Yo. Okay, let's get our mic check. Ah. This button. Hopefully we're back. Yo. Yeah, that's the one. Alright. We got background noise. We got no desktop noise here. That means aggregate. No. Oh, something has changed in my settings. Yep. How was it set before? Yep. You go away for a week and you come back and everything's a mess. How was this done before? Properties. Mic test. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Mic test 1 2. What in a... Oh! Yes! Yes, now we can hear. Alright. Let's boost it all the way up. Test 1 2. Now we can hear. Okay, that's more like it. You can mute up. Excellent. Oh yeah. Alright. Now I can just play the game. And I think that should be okay. Let's bring up just a smidgen. Remember the buttons. We're using a different controller now, so we've got to figure out how the buttons are mapped over. If the buttons are mapped over properly. Yep, it's going to be jarring. It's going to be a steep load to go. Yeah, I guess so, Boaz. Whatever way could it go down? How you doing, Maria? I'm sorry, Maria. How you doing? Hope you're having a good day too. I really wish I could just jump into this game and just pick up where I left off, but it has been months and months since I played this. So I have no idea what's going on anymore. So much stuff on the map as well. Alright. I want to find the light dragon, or I want to do the final mission. But you can't really mess around with resources in this game. If you do, you're cooked. Hey, make you want to play again? Yeah, I'd urge to play it, but I'm low-key regretting it a bit. See if we can go get our skills back. This is a game I'm not gonna be able to play while talking to people. Probably gonna have to end up playing Elden Ring again. Oh snap! Oh yeah, he takes incredible amounts of damage. I forgot about that. No, yeah, it's gonna be annoying. Might need to use the Switch controller. No, this is bad juju already. Bro, no, no, not a fairy. No way. Oh my gosh. Oh no. X is 24 for the 5th. This is not good. This is not good. I'm just gonna go play Dark Souls or something. Yeah, I don't have any religious beliefs, if that's what you're asking me. I really want to play this as well. I think I'm just going to have to play this in my own time. Right, that's that. There's that. Which one is the... Yeah, there's like a parry. There is. How are we going to go fight Ganondorf if I can't even use the buttons? Alright, I'll give this a try and then we'll go play Elden Ring as usual. But I haven't finished the DLC, so there is that. We can explore the DLC. So let's check what we got here. Nope. Oh, the buttons are sending me. This is why I don't play Nintendo. Oh my god. Alright, so it's underground. Well, apparently I'm quite near. Not that near. Bro, why would he trick me like that? Look how far away that is. Okay. Is that underground? This game can be really good when you get into it, but it takes a while to warm up to. So remember the buttons, remember the mechanics. There's a lot going on. If they just made it simpler, like old school Ocarina of Time, it'd be much more enjoyable. There's so much going on. Alright, there we go. Well, yeah, Israel's definitely an invention. Hey, thanks for hitting a like. Thanks for the follow as well. What's up? I don't have a favorite song of all time, bro. I wouldn't know. I like too much music to have a favorite song. Why are you asking though? I like music way too much to have a favorite song. All right, how do you fly again? I've forgotten. Oh no. All right. Is it jump? Ah, there we go. Yeah, there's dive, there's jump, there's that. Cool. Alright. Probably what's gonna have to happen is I'll restart the live when we go on Elden Ring, but I'm gonna play this for a bit, see what's up. I mean, I'm a bit of both to be honest. I'm hard when it comes to religion. I do not F with it at all, but I'm agnostic when it comes to possibilities. So I'm kind of a mixture of both. No, like anyone that can tell you like their favorite X, Y, or Z, they haven't really thought it through. So it's a sure sign that they don't really believe what they're telling you, bro. If someone can tell you I have a favorite X, Y, and Z, it's unlikely they've really thought it through. To be able to pick favorites like that, it's a bit shallow. There's things that you might like, but yeah. Well, mate, I say that as my opinion. I don't have a favorite genre either. Do you know how much different types of music I listen to? I spent like, it's like going on 20 years now involved in music, so can't have a favorite genre either. It's like, maybe he was talking about cake or something. It might be a bit easier to answer. So I don't know. It's like preferred toppings or something. I don't know. It's a bit hard. Hey, what's up, bro? Yeah, of course I'm a Gramps. What do you mean, bro? Of course, Gramps, Unks, all of that. All right, what are the buttons? Let's try and get some ground in here. Now I remember doing this part of the map. I think what I'm gonna need to do is use the Wii controller, not the Wii. Nah, I'm too tired for this shit. The one, that is not enough to convince me that a God exists, if that's what you think. If that's what you thought was gonna happen. That ain't it. Right, we've done the boss battle. How do I get down there again? We need to get out of here. Damn, I forgot you could climb up stuff. I have no idea who that is. I agree, cranky one. I absolutely agree. Now, I do think there are some innocent reasons to invent a god, but how God has been used in the past 2,000 odd years has definitely been bad. It's only getting worse. Ah, that's how we get down there. Oh yeah. The game just froze. I was about to say. I've done that already. Or have I? Yeah, I must have. I don't think hell's a real place. Oh, saying that actually, I bought a hell simulator. Should we play that? I tried to give it a try last night and it was so whack, man. Like the hell, it is hell trying to play this. Trying I was playing that game was hell. I actually bought a hell simulator. It's called Agony. It's pretty bad so far, anyways. Nah, I don't know who Billy Joel is. Maybe if I heard the song, I might know who it is. I don't think anyone invented humans, bro. It's quite a typical question. Yeah, you know, I can't play this Zelda. No, I can't do this. I'm gonna play Dark Souls. Parmenides. Alright, that's a bit better. Oh, buttons are back to normal now. Hello?
Hello? Oh, we said hello at the same time.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro. What's up?
My dick.
Okay. Girl man, by the way. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Girl man, by the way. First impression, by the way. Crazy. Oh, now my mind has to switch from Nintendo buttons back to PlayStation buttons. And it's a bit annoying. Why did Nintendo have to try to be fancy and like make the back button it's like the universal go button? It's like, why did they do that? Okay, I'll let this run for a little bit more and then I'm gonna reboot it. Yeah, saying that actually, let's have a little look of who's in there. It was Sunday, what am I expecting anyways? I should have showed up yesterday. I mean, humans invented God. Like, it didn't exist before we made it up. That's what I mean. Zeus is also a god, isn't he? Alright, been a while since I played this as well. Is real as far as the concept goes, to me anyways. If you think he exists as an independent entity, then I'd like you to give me some reasons to, one, believe that, or prove it actually is a fact. What's up, Nick? Yeah, king of the gods in Greece. And not all the Greeks effed with Zeus either. Some of the Greeks were atheists. Waffle jacket, what do you mean? How am I supposed to activate it? Is it like a glitch? Do you know what? Saying that, Waffle Green, right? I went out, well, it's not even that I went out. I was outside because I had to be. And I got tan in one day. I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, I took off my shirt and like my underskin. It's so much lighter than my arms and my face. It's so funny, man. It's like, I forget sometimes that black people can tan. It was quite scary at first. I was like, oh shit. But I also think I got heat, but like a sunburn on my arms as well. So there's that too. Trust me, if there was something worth doing outside, I'd be out there. But there's not. Kind of magic. Wait, I'm an idiot, innit? I've gone straight to the Mesmer fight as if I could beat him yet. This is kind of silly. Alright, we'll give it a shot anyways. What? Shadow, I don't understand what you mean. Oh, is that mine? I'll take it. These guys are pretty tough. What's up, Carp? How you doing, bro? Ah, snap. I'm so rusty at everything. Speaking, playing, thinking. I'd rather be asleep. Ah, there you go. What is a lord? Exactly, Mac 10. I think that goes together perfectly. Playing a fantasy game and speaking about a fantasy goes together perfectly, wouldn't you agree? God is obviously a fantasy, so why wouldn't that complement what I'm doing here? Like, let me ask you this, Mac 10. How old were you when you started believing in talking snakes? Bro, you are confused, Wolfer Jackson. How can you be talking about Jah, right, and talking about Jesus is Lord, bro? You are confused. Now, don't get me wrong. My background comes from, well, you could say one of my parents were very Rastafarian. Pan Africanist even like is my history, right? For you to be hailing out Jesus at the same time as saying Jah, you are very confused. But that being said, Rastafarianism is based on Judaism, or more close to what you might call a Hebrew Israelite with the whole 12 tribes thing. But most Rastas do not accept Jesus. They're like, it's just some made up nonsense, right? So you're very confused by the sounds of it. I got plenty of tissue. I got a whole roll by my side. So I couldn't get any hay fever tablets. So I'm just dealing with it the raw way. Saying that, I should just go eat a raw onion. That should help. But it's kind of stinky. 12 tribes, 12 zodiacs. Yeah, I guess. It's just, to me, I think of all of those things as like apophenia. You got numerology, symbology, all of these like weird things that occultic people like to get into. I try to stay away from that kind of stuff personally. Bro. Anyways, although I don't much feel like talking to anybody today, the lines are open. You can call in if you want. On TikTok, it's set West 10. Someone is giving a request, but we do get like really terrible people that say terrible things. So I'd prefer if you was gonna talk, at least really be honest and talk about the subject. Don't say anything weird, or crazy. Hello. Hello.
Yo, yeah, it takes a second to load up. It don't automatically give us the right to talk. It just a countdown from like 5. So usually by the time it looks like I'm in here, it's still 3, 2, 1. So you gotta wait a sec.
Okay, how you doing, bro?
I'm good. Hey, what chapter are you on? Do you know how many chapters are in that game, bro?
I don't know about chapters.
I think I'm on 5 now. I know that I'm not talking about the side quests. You know, I do them all the time, but I mean chapter wise.
I don't think the
Do
game
you
has
know?
chapters like that.
Yeah, the main quests. There's chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 10. You know, I'm on 5 currently.
And what is 5?
Chapter 5.
Yeah,
Chapter
what happened
5
to that?
was it was the werewolf came into that church and they brought it in as a present, hanging upside down in a box. You had to defeat it, and then it escaped out of the glass window.
Are we playing the same game?
This
Like,
is not Crimson Desert.
no, cuz this is Elden Ring.
Oh, you're playing the
I was thinking,
yeah,
what? No, you're playing the wrong game.
yeah,
I was thinking chapters. What the hell is he talking about?
yeah. I
What
thought
kind
this
of
was Crimson
chapters
Desert, bro. It
where?
looks identical almost, man.
Nah, they
Crimson
ripped off Elden Ring then.
Yeah, they did. They probably definitely did that. But there is so much interaction and non-playable character stuff to do. I mean, they definitely ripped it off, but they added to as well. You know what I mean? So it's a really good game. If you like
I mean,
Elden Ring, you'll love Crimson Desert. Give it a try, bro.
maybe. Well, I ain't got no new console, so I couldn't play it anyway. But maybe one day I'll give it a try.
Yeah.
But anyways, what did you want to talk about?
You play Elden Ring solo? I like to play solo.
Yep.
Or you have to play that with a squad.
Yeah, I play on my own.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk about. I thought you were playing Crimson Desert.
Nah. Oh, interesting talk though. I appreciate you for coming out.
Yeah, brother. Have a good night, man.
You too, bro. Take
Good
care.
game.
Rightio. Yeah, Waffle Jackson. Sound like you're waffling, bro. It's like you calling like I mean, if you was referring to Jah like Jehovah in a kind of pseudo Judaic slash what they call themselves again, Jehovah Witness type of way, then that would make sense. But you explicitly used the word Jah, so that's kind of confusing, bro. So yeah, it makes up the thing. Yeah, that won't. I'm sure there are some rastas out there who accept Jesus as their Lord and Savior, which doesn't surprise me. There's also some rastas out there that yam pum pum and eat pork. So, so anything is possible, really, when you think about it. I'm joking. I'm playing. It's true, but I'm playing. Oh gosh. Yes, I do. Or perhaps I've already found myself one of those people that they mimic you online. That's possible too. Well, look at this commenter. He's quite a representation of a Christian. He says his people are still stuck on mud huts. By the way, don't take him seriously. Laugh my effing arse off. Reasons to not believe in their Christianity? One right there. Perfect representation. Do 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 do. It really doesn't matter what you believe. Why would anyone take you seriously? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, do you know what I mean? I knew you're a Jamaican, innit? You're not really a Rasta. You're just waffling. Oh, I'm trapped in a corner. Stop haters all. In a way, that's true. In a way, that is very true, right? Ah, I did it anyway. Alright, so I'm considering restarting the stream, but I don't know. We could get the tap the likes up and repost. Maybe we get some interesting people to talk to. Now I kind of feel like talking to somebody. You'll see my build stats in just a sec after I respawn. We are nearly half an hour in and under a K. Let's do this, bro. Let's tap that screen. What's up, Brent? How you doing? Kurdish says, right game, wrong messenger. Tell me about it. What's the view behind that? Nah, you don't like a real Rasta doesn't even need dreadlocks, bro. You don't know the thing. Like, yeah, you don't have to have a dreadlocks to be a Rasta. You should know that. Yeah, locks ain't on your head, brother. Build stats right now. Just for that, I'm not showing you. You have to wait. All right, so yeah, I think that's what we'll do. Seems like we've got some weirdos in there. So what we'll do is we'll restart the stream and see if we can get to a K straight away, so the algorithm takes the stream to the right people. My build does suck, but your build sucks too in real life. I'm just playing. Back in a sec. Make sure you join back stream. Okay. Will it let me do a live? Yeah, restarting the stream like that's probably not good. Yeah, you don't need to smoke to be a Rasta either. You probably shouldn't. Oh, you made me say something naughty in the beginning. Damn it. We gotta do a sound check again. Bloody hell, man, like Joe Nick. Yo, check. 1, 2, normal talking voice. Just a bit. And there we have it. Check 1, 2. You want to bring that mic up just a little? Yo. There we go. Mute up. Salute. Oh yeah, I judge. I definitely judge, bro. You gotta judge, or it should be silly. I certainly judge, and I be judged too. How can you not judge? Dark as Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes ain't even that dark, man. Hollywood is so racist. Wesley Snipes ain't even that dark. Like, darkness. Who was that again? Charlie Murphy. Darkness. Alright, anyways. How did I come to the conclusion that humans invented God? I think there's plenty of evidence of humans creating gods all throughout human history, hence why there's so many thousands and thousands of different types of them. Whereas there's little to no evidence at all that gods exist independently of humans. So that's how I came to that conclusion. But then secondarily, how I came to that conclusion was interacting with absolute abhorrent, terrible human beings, which make me think, why would I believe in their God since that's the way they behave, and they behave as if they're acting on behalf of their God. So there's that too. But the first answer will probably get you there a lot quicker. The real God is a woman. Why should I think that? It seems more plausible than the Christian or the Judaic God, or say the Abrahamic God, but why should I think that any God exists? And that God would have a gender. Why would God be like, is it asexual? Just genderless. That'd make the most sense. If God was to have a binary gender, then that would raise other questions about how does God get about? How does God go about producing things? Or what produced God? But then again, like, come on. All of those questions are silly to ask in the first place, because we know God doesn't exist. God could be whatever you want it to be. It could be a cephalopod. It's more likely to be a cephalopod than anything else anyways. That's another conversation. Alright, folks. I did say I was going to restart the stream. If you could tap the likes and get this reposted out, it'd go a long way. And perhaps we'll get a caller in. I mean, yeah, technically we're like burgers as well, really. Just walking about in meat suits. Alright. So why are there 7 people here? Alright, what's going on? We've got weirdos watching in the background. We can see you. Like, leave. Don't watch the stream if you don't want to be in the stream. Just leave. You're weird. You're suspicious. Anyways, look. I should have just left my other stream running. Then we could have just enjoyed it that way. I could just carry on playing Zelda in peace. No comments, no call-ins. That might actually be the move. Yay. You gonna come down here? He came down! Bro, camera! 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 Come on. I'm on the level for this error anyways. Why should I think that's true, dealer? Why don't you call in and let's talk about this? Hit that request that button, let's talk about it. Do you mean key like Dragon Ball Z? Or was that just an accident? No, no waffle, because that's like circular. What the hell is the spirit of creation? Do I ever feel awe about the earth and the natural world? Yes, all the time, bro. All the time. But do I then go and say, oh, you know, there's some anthropomorphic deity that made this and I should be in awe by that? No, because life is actually terrible, horrible, beautiful suffering, constantly. Violent suffering, dude. Oops, did it again. Nothing. I'm nothing to nobody, hopefully. I don't know how to pronounce your name. It's Jewish, isn't it? Benjamin. I'm nothing. I'm just a guy. Just a guy. That's all I am. I think we're having internet issues anyways. Dan Black, I agree with you. I think like someone could make a really good argument for the invention of God or the invention of religion being one of the worst things we've ever done as humanity. It's like one of the worst things. It's bad. It's really bad. Oh, perhaps it's not that, and it's just my stream is lagging. Oh yeah, I'm there like just talking. I'm just wondering why like YouTube isn't doing anything. Didn't go live, did I? Well, yeah, there isn't, yeah, as far as I'm aware, there isn't any good evidence for God at all. T, why is your name that? I think that's the better question. They can't teach what? What can't they teach? Oh, I got the nerdy block nose. Nah, we don't need coping mechanisms really though. We don't. Like I was just saying, someone could make an argument that the invention of God and using God as a coping mechanism is like one of the worst things we could possibly have done. So look at what we sanction under these like immaterial, ridiculous views. Look at the types. And another thing for you, right? Even though I just blocked that person, right? That hooked daily says effing riggers. Right? Why would a God allow for that to be the case in the world? Right? Why should I believe in a God that allows that? What did I do other than just exist, be born in the skin I'm in? So there's that, you know. Now, I don't want to hear the free will spiel because under a Christian, Muslim or Jewish paradigm, you can't have free will like that. So God would have wanted there to be racism. Right? God would have wanted there to be all of these kinds of abuses under your paradigm. So if those things happen to people just for existing as they are, why the hell would I subscribe to your God? If you claim to represent that God as well, like why would I want to be anything like you or near you? There's I heard like an anecdote the other day. So there was this Native American guy that was fighting back the conquistadors, the Spaniards and the Portuguese. And as they were about to burn him, they offered him, they said to him, "Oh, convert to Christianity and we won't burn you." It was like, you won't go to hell. And he said, "Will there be Spaniards in hell?" No, he said, "Will there be Spaniards in heaven?" All right. And it was like, "Yes, of course." It's like, then I don't want to go there. Like, I didn't deliver that very well, but that should surmise what I'm trying to say to you. Right? If there will be you kinds of people there, why in the world would I want to be there? If you are the representation of that thing on earth, why the hell would I want to be anywhere around you? It's like, you're disgusting to me. But there's that, right? And then you got to think about how these religions were imparted to the Africans specifically. It was by those types of people. So why in the world would I subscribe to their belief system? They're terrible, horrible people. Like, literally disgusting people. So there's that. But anyways, with the historical, emotional context aside, there's just not enough evidence of their gods existing ever. So... But if you want to come up and talk about it, I'd be more than happy to have a chit chat with you. Or you can watch me die endlessly until I defeat the game. I don't think anyone invented humans, but it's possible, right? What if aliens invented humans? Would that suffice as an answer? What if a different type of human invented humans, or Homo sapiens? Would that suffice? Oh, I keep rolling off the edge. What answer would suffice for you? You need it to be a god, don't you? What's up, Roy? Yeah, I'm somewhat in agreement, but it's like the damage is so far gone. There's not really much we can do about it. We can try. Let me not be super like pessimistic. I think we can still combat it ideologically for sure. I think we can still teach people the right tools to think critically and like work through problems without invoking supernatural and religious beliefs. But it's very hard sometimes not to fall in that kind of doomer stupor when you look at how the world is and the things that have happened and the things that continue to happen. It's very difficult. And like, again, I'm not one to make emotional arguments about God's existence or non-existence, but it's just the simple problem of suffering or the problem of evil is enough to make anyone who isn't even willing to engage with this intellectually say that there can't be a God because of X, Y, Z. Just that alone is enough to make anyone be like, nah, this is BS. And as I was just pointing to earlier on, the types of people who God apparently sent out with his word and the things they've done historically, like, come on, God, is like this your guys? It's like, come on, bro. An all-powerful entity allows for these things. Why? Doesn't make sense. The problem, but at the same time, right now, let's step back from the emotional part of the argument I just gave you. The problem of evil is something that Christianity creates for itself. It's something they invented for themselves, right? Because it's like this: the more you define a god, is the less likely it is to exist, right? And if you keep adding things on it, more and more things, more and more explanations, more and more loopholes, you create ridiculous scenarios. So by them saying God is all know, like omniscient, omnipotent, omnibenevolent, they create the problem of evil for themselves. Now, if they just left it at bare theism, just saying there is a God, right? Nothing more than that. There's a supernatural, powerful deity or entity that can create things, which is still saying a lot, right? But if they just left it as that, they wouldn't have created the problem of evil, and they wouldn't have to come up with a loophole for apologetics like free will, or God has a plan, like an eschatological view kind of thing. We're heading to some end point. They wouldn't have had to do any of that if they just left it simple, right? Or left it how their ancestors had it with like animism and stuff. But the human minds conflate all, like, do these ridiculous gymnastics and make more problems where they're not necessary. So yeah, just the simple fact of some people would put it like, is it gratuitous suffering like just for no reason, that alone is enough to not believe in the type of God that a Christian and a Jew and a Muslim does believe in. Just that alone. But that's not the reason I don't believe, if you're wondering. But it's up there. I would agree with that, Roy. That's the problem. What's up, Matthew? How you doing? That's the problem. The religion actually sanctions that kind of behavior because it's like, I don't know how many of you were here maybe like 2 weeks ago, but I had a call with a guy on here, and I was trying to explain to him that you don't get an egalitarian, we are all equal view under religion. You can't, right? Because from a religious view, God is specifically saying, I have a chosen people, a favourite set of people, and everyone else be damned, or if they don't act or capitulate to this chosen few. So you can't get an egalitarian view like that from religion. So that being in hand, because God establishes that hierarchical system between him and these earthlings via covenant, that sanctions for all of those terrible atrocities, because the people within the in-group, e.g. Islam, Christianity, Judaism, can then say, we are the saved, they're the sinners, we're the clean, they're the dirty, therefore we can sanction X, Y, Z happening to them, right? That's literally one of the biggest problems with religion throughout the whole of history. And it's mind-boggling that people don't get that. But then again, it's expected based on how human psychology is in the first place. So yeah, why should I think there's a hell? You see like what G-Man just said there? It's that kind of stuff. Like, people who walk around on Earth thinking like that, it's like, obviously I don't think it's too late for a person like G-Man to to get some sense about him, but in general, some days you just don't want to deal with those kinds of people. It's like how many billions like you? Oh god, man, we may as well just flood the world. May as well. It's the only way we're gonna get these people out of there. It's like, why are people walking around thinking like this? We may as well. Like, it's bloody ridiculous. I can see why an anthropomorphic deity might express regret for creating some types of people. So much so, it's like, I'm just gonna flood the whole planet, save my faves again, and start again. And then when I start again, I'm not gonna help anybody go forward except for my faves again. I can see why you might do that. So yeah, why don't you explain to me what the truth is, bro? I do find it interesting how often religious people love to talk about the truth, and then when you start asking them questions, it's like, well, I believe X, Y, Z. Is like, all right, so what are the parameters you're using to establish truth when like your whole system is hinging on stuff you cannot verify, cannot demonstrate? So how can you be claiming to be a part of any truth? You literally don't have parameters for it. In fact, you actually don't care about the truth at all. But it's crazy. It's crazy to me. Now, like, again, I'm not like anti-theist, but I am against certain religious ideologies. So I think they're very destructive. I would actually be quite happy to know that there is a God and there is like some actual reason to all of this happening in this way. But from a religious point of view, I don't think that kind of a solution will be found, or at least that kind of conclusion could be arrived at. More likely to get there from pantheism or deism, very more likely. They're more harmonious as well, less in-group, out-group politic, less sanctioning of terrible violence, atrocities, and all those kinds of things. But the line is open if you want to talk to me. And you're like a decent person, not a troll, not an evil. How can I even say anyone's evil, really? Just not annoying. I don't mind if you're evil, just not annoying. What's up? Leave my elevator alone. Yeah, I know. That's the problem. I don't mind if you're a little bit evil, just a little bit evil. I don't mind. Just not annoying type of evil. Spiritualism? Nah, I'm not really sure. I wouldn't really put it down spiritualism. So based on like the book I was reading, The 7 Types of Atheism, the guy, obviously it's a polemic against atheism, but he was making an interesting point about Spinoza's view of pantheism really just being a spring off of atheism, essentially. And there's a guy that he referenced called Santayana or something like that, which said some very interesting poetic things too about it. Satmali. Oh yeah, that's one way you could put it. I've heard people say that as well, which is quite interesting. I should not be in this building yet. Like, I'm too underleveled. We haven't picked up any seeds. Damn. But really, the camera is the enemy. Yeah, because like pantheism isn't really. Obviously the god isn't the god. It's just essentially saying everything is God, the whole universe, everything. Right? So on that level, it's not like this anthropomorphic deity that you got to like worship and capitulate to. You could worship just like the whole beauty of existence, just in that like kind of abstract way, but not in this like anthropocentric human religious type of way. I'd say pantheism is way more thoughtful, leads to like better interaction with ecology and other human beings in general. It's more compatible with like peaceful society. Substance center. That doesn't mean like an individual pantheist could be on some BS, because of course, just like an individual religious person could be on some BS. But like the overarching view on pantheism doesn't come with a doctrine, doesn't come with like in-group, out-group politic. It's literally like it's like monism, really. Native American religions, or well, I don't know them all, right, but I'm just talking like on a popular surface level. Native American belief systems are more like animism. So I guess in a way you could maybe fold animism into pantheism in a way. Technically, right, if you want to be ridiculous, like you could like put pantheism or pantheism, not pantheism, at the top, and then fold every belief system into it. Because you could just be like, for instance, Zeus, Shango, Quetzalcoatl, Inanna, Ishtar, God, Yahweh are all expressions of pantheism. They're all expressions of the same essence. So you could really fold all theistic views into pantheism and just say, yeah, people are just describing different factors of the universe itself. So you could do that. But yeah, I'm not giving you that pass if that's what you're trying to do. You could do that. But I don't think anyone invented humans. Do you know there is a request button? I think you can come and speak to me if you want to. As much as I in quite a groggy mood, you can speak to me if you want to. Nah, I wouldn't say women are closest to a religious god, but they're not far off of being like a... I put it this way, if you was gonna deify any gender, it would make more sense to deify women or females. If you was gonna, but to be fair, like we're really just the same thing, right? A woman can't perform her function without a man, and a man can't perform his function without a woman. So we're really just two halves of the same coin, fundamentally. You know, like I was saying earlier on, why are we thinking of God as some binary type of gender? It just points to the anthropomorphism at the center of the whole concept in the first place. Why the hell would we think God has a gender? Again, just more evidence of this invention. So, why would it need to have a gender? Oh, you silly... Yeah, no, women can't create without men, though. That's what I'm saying to you. Don't get me wrong. I get the point of view that you're holding. But like I said, from an anthropocentric point of view, like being a human point of view, it would make more sense for God to be a woman, yes. But if you take that out of the equation, right, and you actually look at what men and women are, we're the same species. Women can't create without men. Men can't generally create without women, okay? So, like, unless you're Mary and, like, you're 14 and God's fucking about, you can't really produce a baby on your own, right? So you have to consider that too. Like, they're both... I understand why people have these views, but you got like your misandrist take on this, and you got your misogynist take on this. Really, both are the actual invention of patriarchy, men at the base of it, right? But there's not really any reason to get down and start thinking, you know, if God exists, it has to be a woman. If God exists, it has to be a man. Now, if I was a woman, I could see that point of view, given the history of the shit that men have done to women and like the how they've put them in a submissive kind of role historically. But there can also be a view that it's a little bit much of an overcorrection, you know. But like I said, if I was a woman, I'd have a different view. If I was a woman, I'd also probably be a misandrist. So there's that, right? But I understand what you're saying. That's all I'm trying to say. So I get what you're saying. Hello? Oh, person left, I think. Oh well, we're having fun on our own anyway. Let's just play the damn game. See, I was going somewhere with that point, but I kind of forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, so it was. I was kind of thinking on the whole equality thing, right? In the same way that it's kind of a joke to say that God gives humans free will. Like the joke is like, you know, if you couldn't refuse free will being given to you, then you don't have free will. In the same way, you could make that kind of similar joke about equality, right? If someone has to give you equality, then you don't have equality, you know? So that could be another way where the overcorrection can come in. But it's just a thought, right? It's not that serious. Do I feel like that because of the 400 years? I mean, that plays into it. There's no doubt about it. But it's way longer than 400 years, bro. That plays into it. Like, yeah. We can talk about race and religion if you really want to, but if I was to take away all of the actual learning and the thinking I've done about the subject and just reduce it to the base human raw emotion, then racism would be enough for me to not believe in any religion, any religious god, because of the people who promote them and the things they've done with it. Why would a god allow for, you know, so many millions, no, I think it's nearly billion of us now, to have so much terrible things done to us just because of our skin colour and nothing else? What god would allow that? And that God seems to be the God that's arm in arm with the people doing it. So why would I want that? Do you know? But that's more of an emotional argument, right? Not to say there's not serious, deep truth in that as well. But why would I want any part of that? I mean, but you guys surely must have seen all the various TikToks where people like making jokes, pretending to be God and answering questions, pretending to be the devil answering questions. Just like that level of humor is great in pointing out the whole contradictory nature of religion in the first place, the ridiculous type of things that people believe. Why would you think a god was testing you in the first place? That is another thing I was talking to someone about on these streams before. Why would an immortal, all-powerful being give a damn about what a mortal is doing? Like, at the center of that is human ego. I understand why the system of morality was set up like that, which is called divine command theory. Right? I understand why it was set up, so people think there is a test and that there is a big other. I understand the psychology of that, but the reality is, underneath that, for people who believe that and walk out into the world, it's an egocentric point of view. If you're going to accept that, oh, there's this all-powerful God that exists and created absolutely everything, the ultra ego view is, oh, now this all-powerful thing that's responsible for everything specifically cares about me and my actions. Like, how egotistical is that? Why should it care about you? Like, do you know how insignificant you would be to it? In fact, why should it care about the Earth specifically, right? It's got other universes, other galaxies, like other solar systems that it could be more interested in. Like, maybe that's why God hasn't been around for like a couple thousand years. Like, actually, I'm just going to check out this other solar system for a while, run this other experiment, you know? It's like, why would he care? It's just Super egotistical. I see you, Senator. Give me a minute, right? Even me, you got me calling him he. Do you see? Do you see? The indoctrination runs deep. Why would it care? Oh, I'm so dead. Nope. That load up was violent. Okay. No one else is speaking currently. I don't think, anyways. Hello.
Hey,
How you doing? Is that Senator?
I'm fine. Yeah,
We finally get to hear your voice. How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Not too bad. What do you want to talk
So
about?
I just wanted to say something about testing humans, because other than the egoistic view of human beings, I also don't understand this contradiction. If God wants to test us, oh, sorry, give me a second.
Okay. Can you guys hear our voice clear on the Red app?
My bad, my dog. So I was saying, if if God wants to test us, but at the same time God is also all knowing, okay? So he already knows what we will do.
That's a good point.
So what's the point of testing us in the first place?
Yeah, that's a good point. Again, I do think that's what's underneath it, is that egocentric point of view. But I think, right, so put it like this. If we're looking at societal structures, right, politics, law, religion, etc., it would make sense for humans to invent a big other and make that big other the moral arbiter. So from that point of view, like, yeah, if I want to instill this system of control over a group of people, create a civilization or city or whatever, I need to convince them that there's something policing them when I'm not there to police them or my force isn't there to police them. So people can walk around believing these ridiculous contradictions just based on that alone. Right? They won't question it because it's functioning as something useful in society. Do you know?
Yeah. I do believe some people maybe don't act too bad because they're more scared of a divine consequence rather than maybe jail laws. So
Maybe, yeah, some
maybe
people.
from this point of view, maybe it does work on society religion. And also another thing regarding God having a perfect plan for humanity.
And what might that
I
plan
was
be?
wondering. Yeah, I was wondering, then what's the meaning of praying? Because if you pray to God and God answers your praise, He has to change His plan for
Oh,
you.
that's funny.
So,
That's George Carlin right there. Yeah, that's funny.
yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, that was funny. I mean, yeah, it doesn't make sense, but again, like, religion doesn't make sense fundamentally. Like, a bunch of this stuff that people just believe, they just take for granted. Is like, this is true because I think it's true, but once you start to examine it, it's like, this is actually ridiculous. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Like, if you, a mortal, can change God's plan through prayer, what is the point in the plan? It's kind of stupid.
Have you seen they did a show on Dr. Death show? It was a discussion between Muslims and Christians. I don't know if you saw
No, I
the
wouldn't have seen
episode.
it.
But it's very interesting because you see these people discussing each other, but just about fairy tales at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's kind
It's
of
just
true.
like, yeah, it's like I don't know, my hero is better than your hero.
Yeah, yeah. It legit is like that though. It's like I think what's at the base of that as well. Yeah, you know, like when people are like, "Oh, you're gonna go to hell," or "All this bad thing's gonna happen to you." It's kind of like you got two kids playing a game of make believe, right? One kid has a make believe gun and he points at you. He says, "Bang, bang," right? And in his worldview, it means you're supposed to fall down and pretend to be dead. But when you don't do that, you like you bring up some cognitive dissonance. It's like, no, like my
Yeah.
make believe world says this has to happen when I go bang bang, and you can go like, no, I've got an imaginary vest, and in my version
Yeah.
of the imaginary tale, the imaginary vest stops imaginary bullets. So they're like, that's really what is going on with all of these kinds of belief systems. It is like fantasy. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's proper ridiculous. It's proper ridiculous. But yeah,
Yeah, I do.
go on.
No, I was just saying I do appreciate when people maybe take something good from religion. Maybe they try um, to make their life better, have more morals. But other than that, I don't know. I feel like you will always fight and bad stuff going on if we don't remove religion. So I agree with you.
How do you think we could get rid of religion though?
Honestly, I don't think we can because I think in human nature. I was listening to a documentary about religion, and they did an interesting theory. For example, in the past, humans, let's say I was walking in a forest and the grass moves. A human that believes it's just the wind, so maybe he wouldn't survive because maybe there was a tiger in the grass, okay? Another human that instead thinks, oh, there is a reason behind the grass moving. There is someone with a wheel that's moving the grass. That kind of human will survive. So it's like we developed in order to believe that there is always a wheel behind everything. I don't know if I explained the theory well. It's a bit
Yeah,
complicated,
no, I
but
know exactly what you say. I talk about it all the time. It's the theory is called hyperactive agency detection. So yeah, I'm well aware of that. I'm glad more people are learning about it, which is great. But yeah, I'm aware of it.
yeah. So I think it's just nature, but yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Senator.
I
Sorry, not
appreciate you.
senator. It's centaur.
Yeah, center.
I always call you senator. I see senator in my head. It's
It's
dyslexia.
fine, it's fine.
I appreciate you for coming up.
Thank you. I leave space from someone else. Have a
All
nice
right.
day.
Take care. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Oh, that Missy. Where's Missy gone? Missy, get up here. I saw you waiting. Hello?
Hey,
Hello?
hello.
How you doing, mate?
Hey, I have a question.
Yeah, sure. Go on.
Why does everybody think that the guy who says "love me" or "I'll see to your torture for more time than you could possibly fathom" is the good guy?
I have no idea. Oh, that sounds like a Stockholm syndrome, doesn't it?
Something is wrong. What happened to my country?
I don't know, bro. I don't know. You guys got a... I'm assuming you're American, right?
Yeah, you would think that just the fact that Jesus, according to their story, Jesus came and said, "Hey, you don't got to be responsible or be accountable for any of your sins. I took care of it for you." And you think that's a good thing?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It's like the same people that believe that will frown on human sacrifices in other cultures and not realize that's fundamentally what Jesus is. It's a virgin blood sacrifice. It's exactly the same thing. It's like
Fucking
it's
ridiculous.
super ridiculous. Super ridiculous.
I was trying to tell the last guy who was talking about religion that, but he wouldn't even accept me because he's like, "Oh, we just want to talk to Christians."
I mean, yeah, I can understand why. I can understand why.
Yeah, I'm not a Christian no more. Shit.
What made you not be?
I don't know, logic.
Logic. So was there like a
Yeah,
specific event or like a specific
yeah,
problem?
that somebody posed the same question to me. Why do you think that that's the good guy when all he's doing is threatening you to love him?
I mean, yeah, that is a good question.
If you don't love him, he's gonna make sure you're tortured for more time than you could possibly understand because it's eternity.
I hear that, but I like, for me, even when I used to believe, like, even in like you could say like a culturally Christian type of God, like I've never believed in hell and punishment and torture and all that kind of stuff. To me, that stuff
Yeah,
has been obviously like overtly a human idea, just like for control.
yeah.
So it wouldn't make
It's
any sense
supposed
for
to
a God to
scare
do
you,
that.
but there's no way that hell or even heaven are possible. Because okay, so you go to heaven, right? Everything is fantastic forever. How would you understand that when you don't have anything to compare it to?
In
You
what
know,
way?
we appreciate a sunny day because we've been through rainy days.
I mean, yeah, I can see that point of view. I don't necessarily agree though. I think like put it this way, I understand what you're saying. That your appreciation for something can go up once experiencing the opposite, but I don't think all things need that kind of dualistic existence in order for them to matter. Do you know?
Yeah, I could see that.
But yeah, I understand. I understand what you're saying. To me, it's
Although
more ridiculous on
most
the
things are
level.
dualistic.
Sure, so go on.
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
No, I was gonna say to me, it's more ridiculous on the level where you think that there's some other place that you could go to in the first place.
Like,
Why would
like
there
how
be
did so many people fall for it?
comfort, bro? To give
It's
certainty, isn't it?
fear. We're so afraid of this, and we want everything to be great, so we invent something that says, "Well, after you die, it'll be good." What the
Yeah,
fuck?
yeah, it's a big scam. Big scam.
Everything's horrible in life right now, but just keep slaving away while we're collecting your taxes. You
Trust
know,
me.
like what the? You have to work 70 years out of your life. Fucking stupid as fuck.
But the thing is, a lot of those religious systems, like, I'm not like a biblical critique type of guy, but if you was to like get in touch with one, I'm sure they could pull up certain parts that would support what I'm about to say, right? But one could argue that a lot of the things like taxes and like our social structures, like things like authoritarianism, etc., hierarchies, are all sanctioned by those religious views because the people who are running wherever they were, like it would have been the Levant, wanted those things to be in there. So to allow for things like like give unto Caesar what is Caesar's type of ideologies and shit like that. So
Well, I,
now go
I'm
on.
sorry. Go ahead.
No.
I was
Go.
just gonna say I've always been the kind of person that likes to research. I've always been like that.
Hmm.
But man, when you learn how many times the Bible has been rewritten by man,
Hmm.
and everybody's defense, every Christian's defense is you just gotta have faith. You,
Well,
you just gotta believe.
they don't have anything else once you hit that.
Moron. Yeah,
There's nowhere else to go though. Once you start confronting belief systems with reality, there's nowhere else to go in order to like keep hold
yeah.
of your dissonance.
You're stuck. You're
Yeah,
stuck in that teepee.
there's nowhere else to go.
No,
Or unless you break
there's,
break with what you believe, which is super difficult to do, but not impossible.
you're you're definitely drinking the Kool-Aid. But look, you're supposed to search for God, not believe what you're told.
I
And
mean,
every time somebody searches for God, you know where they find it? Inside themselves.
yeah, if that's what you believe, I guess. But there's no rule that
Yeah,
says you have to do
you
that either.
find something you find something inside your own brain to believe in.
Maybe. I think that more speak to human nature than any like God.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see why some people might come to that conclusion as well.
But but if I put you somewhere with a bunch of people who knew nothing about where you were at, whoever pretends to know is going to be the one in charge. Whoever pretends to understand what's happening around them is the one that everybody's going to listen to.
I guess yeah, it's true. True in a way, temporarily until they start to spot the
Like,
ridiculous
oh,
parts.
it's just a thunderstorm. It's no big deal. The first people that saw lightning fall from the sky were probably like freaked out,
Of course.
you know. But then somebody's like, it's just the friction from the air molecules rubbing against each other. You know, it builds up a static charge,
Yeah, imagine an ancient person
and
saying that.
everybody's like, yeah, that makes sense. What the fuck?
That's
Yeah, it's just
crazy.
whoever makes up the best story.
Oh, that's true
And
though.
The Bible is absolutely the greatest story ever told because it's a fucking story.
I mean, I don't know. It was the greatest, but it's up there. A lot of people like
Yeah.
it.
I believe that there are some true things in there, but I believe that those true things are by accident because if you throw a bunch of matches bucket of gas, one of them's gonna light. You know.
Possibly. Well, from my point of view, look, it's a book, and all books are written by humans. So if there's
Yeah.
good knowledge in there, then it's very likely it came from a human mind. But there is bound
Right.
to be good knowledge in any book, whether you take good, like, like how some people would say an example is an example of what to be or what not to be. It's still good information.
Right.
So there's
I
that.
mean, I don't really have a problem with religion because most of the people that believe in any religion are generally good people,
I disagree with that, but that's your personal
except
opinion.
except for probably Catholics.
See, see now you're just discriminating. I say be against them all if you're gonna be against
Well,
them.
their belief structure is that they can do whatever they want as long as they repent.
I mean, yeah, but they're not the
That's not
worst.
good.
That's
That's
bad, but
not
they're not the worst, right? They've done some
no, they're
terrible
not the
things.
worst.
But
They're not the
who sets
worst.
the ball rolling off in this whole like Christian
They're not the worst. They
apocalyptic
just
death
kill
cult?
someone.
Who sets the ball rolling? Nah, yeah,
Sorry,
there you go,
just
right?
read
So
somebody.
I said, don't
I
just
just
attack one, get them all out of here.
I just read somebody's comment. I started laughing. It said Catholic here, bigots.
Yeah, I saw it. But anyways, Marcus, I'm gonna let you down, bro. It was nice talking to you.
All right, buddy.
All right, take
Have a good
care.
one.
Super. What's going on, bro?
What's going on, man?
Ah, you
I'm
English?
surprised you even accepted it.
How you doing? Oh, you're cracking up.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, now there's a couple of things I definitely wanted to cover with you.
Sure, let's do it.
What's your thoughts on the Siderium? What's your thoughts
I
on...
don't know what that is.
Okay, so the Siderian is what they believe is Jesus' face cloth.
Are you talking about the I forget what they call it now.
No, not the Shroud of Turin. The
Oh,
Shroud of
something
Turin is
else.
something. Yeah. So
Oh,
the Shroud of Turin and the Siderian basically go hand in hand.
okay.
But I'll be real, I discovered the Siderian not long ago. But the Siderian is housed in Italy. No, sorry, the Shroud is housed in Italy, in Turin, and the Siderian is housed in Spain. But
Yeah.
again, these are cloths that obviously to the naked eye just look like dirty cloths. But again, I guess this has been analyzed, and I feel
Well, this is the first time I'm hearing about that second one, but I've definitely heard about the Turin one, and that's been examined and debunked like time after time.
I don't think it's been debunked. I think it
Yeah.
was they tried to debunk it. They tried to say that
Well,
they
the actual
tested it
cloth.
using radiocarbon dating and dated it to outside of when Jesus was.
Yeah, so it'd be way more recent history than when he was allegedly in existence.
Yeah, no, you're right. They definitely posted those findings and said, yeah.
So yeah, like,
that is
but
okay.
that being said, either way, I would never take those things as to be proof of anything supernatural. Right? They could be
No.
proof of a guy, sure. They could even be
Wait,
proof
wait,
of something interesting happening, like scientifically, but that still doesn't lead us to a god.
Yeah, no. Again, we're talking about if it is true, and the findings on that cloth do date back to when Jesus died or was around. And on top of that, to the naked eye, you can't see the image on this cloth. We're talking about you can only see an image on this cloth once you take a negative.
Yeah, but
Once you-
the question
once you-
remains: what value does this bring to the point?
Again, I guess with if we're looking at it as if it's a court case, we need evidence, right, to support
Yeah,
guilty or
that
not
wouldn't
guilty.
that wouldn't get you to God though, as an evidence. That's what I'm saying to you.
Well, no,
That wouldn't
again, I
even
guess-
begin to get you there.
What would you mean?
Right, so
Again,
so if you're gonna say, if you wanted to look at God as like a court case, right? How can we prove the existence of God? There's only one way you could do that. That'd be through empiricism, okay, which is kind of what you're pointing to. You need something to be able to measure something tangible. We could get objective information from, okay.
Yeah. Well, again, if we're looking at it like a crime scene,
Right.
the
But
only
then,
way
but
we
then
could
let's take a
really,
step back and then ask ourselves, what is a god?
what is a god? Well, again, I guess what is a god is, or what I believe God to be, is omnipotent, omnipresent, just all-seeing, all-powerful.
You can't
Like,
get on there. So, like a classic description or definition might be supernatural entity or disembodied
yeah.
mind, an
So
immaterial
yeah,
spirit. Right?
yeah,
So it's something supernatural.
yeah. I could agree with that.
All right. So my point of view is this. Right? It's very unlikely to ever get evidence of something that exists like that, anyways, from the natural world. But if we were looking for evidence of something like that, which people are, to my mind, it would need to meet a specific criteria. And one of the criteria would be it would need to transcend specific religions and cultures because of the mass type of entity you're talking about. It's a galactic
It
level
would need
thing.
to transcend. Sorry, what?
It would
It
need
would
to
need to transcend.
transcend cultures and religions. It would need to be
Okay.
mind independent. It would need to defeat all competing hypotheses.
Okay.
Right, so something like the Shroud of Turin, something like the Catholic miracles, the Muslim miracles, etc., wouldn't meet that criteria because they are defined within the parameters of that culture and that religion. Yeah.
But again, I think I would separate something tangible from something said and passed down from generation to generation.
Well, when you say
Something
tangible,
tangible.
what
Yeah,
makes it
something
tangible?
tangible. Well, again, it's something physical.
No,
It's tangible.
what makes it tangible
Tangible.
is the information that supports it.
No,
Of course,
again,
if someone was
my
just if
my
someone was
loaf of
just to
bread,
show you
my
a
loaf of
cloth,
bread is tangible.
no,
So I
no,
eat.
listen. If
It's
someone was
something
to
I can
just show
touch.
you a cloth, right, and it didn't
Yeah,
explain anything about the religious context of the cloth, would it be
yeah.
tangible in any way? It's just a cloth,
It
to
is
you.
100% tangible. It's a cloth.
You need the backstory, bro. You need the
No,
religious
you don't.
context.
You don't.
Of
For
course you
something to be
do.
tangible, for something to be tangible, for something to be physical,
I mean,
it's
as
it's
it
there
pertains,
in
as it pertains to the
present.
conversation.
Present. It could be touched.
Yeah, as
It
it
could
as
be
it pertains to
be
the conversation. I
analyzed.
mean, though, of course, as it
Yeah,
pertains
it
to the
could be
conversation.
analyzed. Yeah, we're talking about a cloth that's been analyzed more than
No,
it's.
but you'd need information to have reason to analyze it. That's what I mean in the context
You
of
would
the
need
conversation, right?
you would need information.
Yeah, and that information comes from a religious worldview, right? If
A
no
hundred
one,
percent.
if
Yeah, I
no one
definitely agree
had
with you
the
because
religious
again,
view already, the cloth would be meaningless in that sense.
well, yeah,
Do you
I
get it?
guess, yeah, I definitely get what you're saying.
So that
You see,
cloth wouldn't help you get to like theism point blank. Just that there is a God. That helps you get to things. That helps you support things in that particular religious view. But that
yeah,
particular religious view is just a slice of what could be when you're talking about
110%. I definitely
an
agree with
actual
you on
God.
that.
You know.
Yeah, 110%. But again, I feel like there is a case for Christ. I feel like
I don't think many
you.
people would argue with you about that, right? Even though me personally, I'm dubious of the existence of the guy, I think there's a clear separation between
Oh,
a historical figure and a supernatural, God man. I think there's a
yeah.
clear separation between those two things. The
But
supernatural
again,
God man thing is a thing that people believe.
hmm yeah,
Historical figure is something that people think to be true, right? Which is a little bit different in context.
yeah, yeah. No, 1000%. But again, I feel like keep in mind I wasn't born into a religious family. My mom, even though she's spiritual, I wouldn't say she's religious in any way. She doesn't follow any type of God, or she will sit there and try to understand our existence herself, try to make sense of our existence by herself, which to me is flawed. Because again,
No.
we
What are you talking about?
110%,
What, you
100%,
need to rate your mum, bro.
100%.
You need to rate your
No, do you
mum. What are you
know?
talking
I
about?
love my mum to bits.
What
I
are you
love my mum
talking
to
about?
bits.
How is
I
that
love my mum
fraud?
to bits.
Like your mum's
It's flawed.
engaging in a priori
Listen, do you know why
reasoning
it's
on some
flawed?
high
I'll
level,
tell you
bro. What
why
are you
it's flawed. I'll
talking
tell you why
about?
it's flawed.
You need to
I'll
rate your
explain to you
mum,
why
bro.
it's flawed. I'll explain to you why it's flawed.
What do you
It's
mean?
flawed because again, tell me, did you figure out how to tie your shoelaces yourself?
Yeah, I
Did you
kind of
figure
did.
out
I
how to
kind of
drive a
did
car
actually.
yourself?
Yeah, I kind
Did
of
you
did.
figure out how to drive a car yourself?
I kind of
Did
did.
you figure out? No, you didn't.
Of course
No,
I
you didn't.
did. Do you know,
All of these
I'm one of
things
those people
since you've
that
been a
bought a
baby.
car.
No,
I'm
since
one of
you've
those
been a
people that
baby.
bought a car,
No,
put an
brother,
L plate on
brother,
it, and
since you've
learned
been
how to
a
drive
baby,
it. I'm
brother,
one of
since
those
you've been
people.
a baby, since you've been a baby, you
Yeah.
have just processed information and understood and got to the point where you are at through the help of others.
Yes, of
Now,
course, I agree with that.
don't Now, not to say that you have not tried to figure things, simple things out yourself, and
Don't
probably been
doubt the human.
successful.
Don't doubt the human mind,
No,
bro.
well, I'm not doubting the human mind, but we are all flawed in the sense that we automatically will lean towards this whole I can make sense of
Yeah,
certain
I
things,
agree. We can get things wrong for
and it's
sure.
certain
For
things
sure.
take trial and error.
For
Now,
sure.
I'm a man. I told you, my mum wasn't religious. My father was not religious. If anything, he didn't believe in Jesus. He tries to say he was a strict Jamaican man that was
Big up
just
your dad.
militant Jamaican man that
Big
was
up your
saying.
dad, bruv.
No, again, it's not about bigging up my mom or my dad because I've got love for them. They're my family.
Oh,
I don't
I
need to
could say
agree
that
with them.
as a
I don't
stranger.
need
I'm
to
just
agree with
saying.
their ideology.
As a
I don't need to
stranger.
agree with their ideology.
No, you don't. You don't at all. But I'm just saying, as a stranger, I rate that. Right?
Yeah, well, again, it's off of what basis? Because again, I think the last person you had on was talking a whole heap of rubbish. Personally, that's me
Well,
personally.
their views he
And again,
holds,
it
you know.
sounded like he was trying to make sense of our existence himself.
Of
But
course.
again,
But who
he
isn't?
sounded retarded. I'll be real.
Brother,
He
that's unnecessary. Don't use the R word
All
like
right,
that.
cool. Sorry. Well, I apologize for that. He didn't.
That's unnecessary.
He didn't sound like he came from a place of logic.
Well,
Does
look,
that sound better?
your opinions on him
Hopefully that sounded
don't
better.
really matter, though. To be honest, we're talking about what you think, right?
110%. Again, I believe in facts. If we're talking facts, opinion is just. I don't care.
So
for
can facts change?
Can facts change?
Ooh, brother, I gotta drop you
Might be
down.
shouldn't.
I gotta drop you down. You said the R word, and they hit me with a thingy.
What's that? What? Okay.
Yeah, I gotta drop you down. You can request back up later, bro. Yeah, they don't like that on TikTok. Content contains themes that some may find uncomfortable. Yeah, so you gotta be careful. They hit you with a hate speech. Guessing your life violated the hate speech. So you gotta be careful saying stuff like that, bro. Yeah, like guys, that's happened to me before as well. Hello?
Yo,
How you doing, bro?
I'm chilling, bro. I ain't gonna lie, I just wanted to ask you, like,
Don't say nothing
cause
crazy.
I know you said like it says the humans invented God, but like, do you like believe like in like a higher power or something, or is it just like religion?
So what is a higher power?
Like just something outside of like human knowledge, like just something that's, unnatural to us, like I don't know, like something supernatural, like
Could an alien be
that's what
considered higher power?
go what?
Could an alien be considered a higher power?
Nah, like I'm
Why
thinking
not?
more like
Why couldn't it be considered a higher power?
I would consider an alien more like a creature, like a form. I'm thinking of some like
Yeah,
spiritual.
but if it's
like,
higher than us, then wouldn't it still be like? So if it's smarter than us, has more technology than us, it has the power to create humans and planets. Would it not be considered a higher power?
yeah, technically it would, yeah.
There you go, right? I don't believe that personally, but if that's on the table with higher powers, why should
Yeah,
I
I'm
believe
just
that?
like, cause like I just believe that like with humans inventing God, it had to be like something else that they believed in when it came to like, oh, this person can do this, can see this, can know this, can predict this, like do all of these things. But it's like, where do you even get that belief from? Like, where
Well,
you like, where is the foundation
my
of
my
that?
explanation of it, when I say humans invented God, it's what's called an explanatory claim, right? From my point of view, the invention of God
No,
happens
bro, I'm
in
fried as hell, my fault.
three phases. Yeah, the first phase is like what Centaur was talking about earlier on. There's a cognitive theory called hyperactive agency detection device. Simply put, like ancestral mind experiences a thunderstorm, a lightning storm, and they say in subconsciously, I have a mind, I don't understand this thing, therefore this thing must have a mind and it's acts on its own accord. The first types of gods come from that. Humans assigning agency to elemental things and celestial things. Then the second types of gods come from humans generating internal abstract concepts, then deifying those. Things like love, war, peace, creation, destruction. Then turning them into
Right.
entities.
So like it's really all ideas or like gods. It's really just human ideas. So like Do you
Well,
think
yeah.
that is actually like gods out there though? That's just not like something
No.
that we created ourselves, or you just like nah?
No, look, I put it to you like this, right? It is entirely possible that there's something out there that we don't know, we don't understand. Very likely, in fact, right? But whatever that thing is, I have no reason to think that's a god in the way that we've invented gods. I'll put it to you like that.
All right, bet. I just wanted to ask you that because I didn't know if you was like disagreeing with the whole like, oh nah, there's nothing out there at all. Like that's all
Look, I
bullshit.
can't
For you,
know.
it's just
That's something I can't know. So that's where my agnosticism is. I can't know for certain.
oh, facts. I appreciate it.
All right. Good chat, bro. Yo,
All right, hello.
how you doing, bro?
So, quote, and I think I consider it is very wise quotes from Wednesday Adams. She said that
Did you say Wednesday
believe
Adams?
nothing you hear, and on behalf of what you see. Yeah,
Yo,
yeah, Wednesday Adams.
Wednesday,
Yeah.
bro. You see in your
So-
mic, bro. I can hear myself and I can hear cars passing.
Yeah, I have a low connection. Do you hear me, by the way?
I can hear you, but I can also hear myself and background noise. Delayed as well.
Oh, I don't know why. So, I think I'm gonna lay that very quick. Like, you need to. You said that you only can admit facts, but
Ooh.
and like your opinion, it doesn't something. It's something like that doesn't matter. But I think
I didn't say that.
your opinion in your own life is the only thing that's yours.
Not really.
How's,
Your
then
opinion
the
could
previous
be
guy
manufactured, bro.
said about it.
Brother, I'm gonna mute you quickly because
Yeah, but you said like
you're
said
like
you
you're really
you
delayed.
read-
You're really delayed, right? So when I'm speaking, I hear me like speaking way later after what I said. To what I'm saying, it's gonna be hard to communicate with you.
All right. So my point is that you said you read some article about thunderstorm and people who experienced this in their lives. So it is basically their lives and their opinions. So
No, that's not what I
you need
said,
to watch in
bro.
your life and your experiences.
That's not what I said. What I was pointing to is
I mean,
listen,
maybe for
listen, bro.
maybe
It's something called hyperactive agency detection device. It's coined by a guy called Justin Barrett. You can go look at it for yourself. It was about ancestors. We're talking about like ancient humans. Right? It's not about just some random person. So hopefully you understand that.
yeah. So didn't you recognize some strange coincidences in your own life? Like
Yeah, possibly.
maybe you can call it the Matrix. You can call it simulation. You can call it what? You can call it whatever you want, but there is some power that's guiding us towards,
All right, so bro,
something.
can you hear me?
So if there is
Bro, I'm gonna drop you down
Yeah.
because it's hard to communicate with you on this kind of delay. So call back up when your line's a bit better, yeah? It's very hard to communicate with you like that, bro. Peel,
Yeah. Hi,
how you doing, bro?
what's good? I'm good. How about you?
Not too bad. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, yeah, so I just want to go straight to it.
Sure.
The reason why I believe in God is it's pretty simple. If you take a look at everything with science and all that, science gives you a form of plain level understanding with evolution, universe, and everything. But when you start asking questions, it starts to have a bit of holes here. I wouldn't argue that the Bible doesn't have its own problems here and there. It's all about understanding and context. But with science, the first thing about the
So,
Big Bang,
are you like
you
putting
can't
your
simply
belief and science on the same
explain
level
that.
there?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I'm placing, but when
Oh, well, you're
I
making a
didn't
giant
start out
mistake.
as a Christian like perfectly, I had my problem. As in,
Well, science and religion aren't even close to the same thing, right? Science is a process, a methodology, and religion is a set of beliefs, or like a set of beliefs and
yeah,
practices. So not the same thing.
yeah,
So why would you compare them then?
yeah.
They're not the same thing.
I'm saying this, right? I don't compare them. I study both of them, right? And I kind of see a correlation between science and religion, especially Christianity. Science is mankind's way of explaining God. But the problem is we've placed ourselves in the position of
That's very
God. So now
circular
we
though.
say God is not real.
That's circular,
If you
bro.
look at, yeah,
Because you're assuming that your God
pardon?
exists already. So when you say science is mankind explaining God, right? You're assuming that God exists already. Right? That's the circularity of what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah,
No, that's not a good way to
yeah.
think.
And I can explain why I believe God exists.
Sure, let's talk about it.
Why so? Yeah, my reason for God existence starts with design, right? If the universe was random accident, just the Big Bang, there shouldn't be any form of true design. Everything points to design. The
So,
way the planets are
so
placed,
when
it
you
means
say design,
everything is in perfect balance.
oh, that's all of so right.
Yeah,
That's an opinion, which is totally fine. You can hold that opinion, right? But that's not a fact.
also,
Right? So when you think of
yeah,
design, what is your frame of reference for something being designed?
as in,
So when you think about the word design, right, what is your frame of reference for things being designed? Like, where do you see designs taking place?
design. The arrangement of planets, how gravity,
You think that's
plants,
design?
systems, everything works hand in hand.
Right, so that's an
Yes, I
opinion.
think that's
That's an
design. If
opinion, but
one thing fails, everything.
we're talking about design in general, right? So the average human, I don't know what kind of human you are, with all due respect,
Yeah.
I don't know you, but the average human's frame of reference for design is other humans. When they see other humans put together an idea, a plan, and execute it, bring it to fruition, essentially. Design is a human or an anthropomorphic
Yeah.
feature that we have, right? So that's the frame of reference you have for
Yeah.
things being designed. Even the word itself is cooked up by humans, right? You can have the opinion
Yeah.
that the world seems perfectly ordered, right? Perfect is also a concept cooked up by humans. Perfect means basically without any further improvements, right? It's at its final point, right? There's, as far as I'm aware, nothing in our physical material reality that is perfect, that meets that kind of criteria. Everything is always improving,
Yeah.
everything is always changing.
It's perfect.
So, right, so when a human
Yeah.
looks at the world and says,
Yeah.
oh, that's designed and that's perfect, they're expressing their opinion, which is an anthropocentric point of view. They're allowed to do that, but it doesn't make it a fact, okay?
Yeah, yeah, I get you. I get you. I get you. But we have proof of God.
All right, sure.
Multiple
So
locations.
what's the proof
Which
then?
prove to the fact that those, for example, the findings of Dead Sea Scrolls, thousands of scrolls found over, yeah,
Sure, yeah,
found over
I've
long
heard about
periods of time.
the Dead Sea Scrolls. So I was going to ask
Yes,
you
there are
what
also
God,
archaeological
but yeah,
proof.
like I think you made that. You're talking about like the Judaic Christian kind of God, right?
Yes.
Abrahamic
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Cool, right?
Yeah.
So,
Abrahamic God. That's the type. That's the God I believe in.
Finding Dead Sea Scrolls wouldn't necessarily be proof of the God. That'd be proof about things that take place in that religion, or proof about things that people have written about in the religion, but it wouldn't necessarily prove that God. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So to say the Dead Sea Scrolls finding them
Then
is
the
evidence
best
of
proof
God is not true. Then
for God is the existence of Jesus Christ.
no, that'd be a belief that you hold, right?
Jesus
We could
Christ is the
say
best proof for God.
no. We could say Jesus, a guy called Jesus
No, I
Christ
believe
or
Jesus Christ
Yahshua.
is an actual
Yes, I know.
figure.
I know that stuff you believe. I was getting to that, right?
Yeah.
We could say Jesus Christ or Yahshua ben Joseph, whatever his name was,
Yeah.
existed as a man, right? A Judaic priest, an ideologue, someone who said interesting things
Yeah.
in whatever BC time, right? I don't know if technically if it is BC, but yeah, it would be, right?
Yeah.
Funny enough. But we could say there was a guy called
It's
Yahshua
BC,
who
yeah.
did some interesting things, believed some interesting things, spoke truth to power or whatever. Right, now there might be evidence of a man existing in that way and in that period of time. But to then go to the next step and say, no, but this man was born magically, meaning his mum didn't have a husband, which she did, and God was his dad, and actually he was God, and actually he did magical things that humans can't do, is a whole set of things that people categorize as beliefs. So there's the man, Yahshua, right, who may have said something interesting things to the Pharisees and all that kind of stuff. Then there's the belief in a Jesus Christ. You believe Jesus Christ has something to do with God. Right? There's not proof that he has anything to do with God. So in a realistic point of view, Jesus wouldn't be proof of God either.
Proof.
That's your belief system.
No, if Jesus Christ existed, he did the things he did.
No, that doesn't
That
correlate.
people saw
No.
these things, and he rose from the dead.
No, brother.
That is proof that
That's
God
not how
exists.
that works, bro. That's not how
It
that
does.
works, right?
First of
So
all,
there is
his
no
existence-
evidence, brother. Listen, there is no evidence for the divine birth, right? There is no evidence for the miracles. There is no evidence for the resurrection. All of those things are claims that happen in the Bible. Okay. Now, if you want to start looking about proofs of the existence of a guy called Yahshua, you'll get real different types of proofs to the miraculous types of proofs you would need. Okay. Me personally, I'm dubious about the existence of the Yahshua guy, but some historians would say otherwise. But historians would not be able to provide you with any evidence of him being born miraculously, doing miracles, or resurrecting. We just don't have that kind of evidence. So they're beliefs about Jesus.
We do. Over 500 witnesses.
That's in
to
the
his
book, bro.
resurrection. People saw him move
that's
around,
in the book,
do
bro.
miracles after he came back.
That's in
Not
the book. Yes, of course, that's in the book. Brother,
witnesses.
the 500 witnesses are in the book, right? I'm not a Bible kind of guy. I really could care less about the Bible. But that claim about 500 witnesses is in the book, right? The claim about Mary or whoever it was that saw him was in the book. This is all from the Bible. Now, and the various different manuscripts that exist out there are referencing the bloody testimonies from the Bible.
Opinion,
okay, so it's all
about
coming
faith.
from the same book. Of course it's coming
it's
from faith, because it's your belief. Of course, right? So don't act as if it's a fact when you know it's your faith.
And another reason
that's terrible.
If you follow these sets of beliefs,
That is terrible.
If you follow these sets of belief, your life is a whole lot better.
That's not true. That's not true.
It's a whole lot better.
All right, so when we look at what's now considered the global south, why is the religiosity considerably higher than the West, yet the poverty, the crime, the destruction, the sadness, essentially, is much, much worse? Right? If we look at the Crusades, if we look at the sanctioning of the papal bulls, the doctrine of discovery,
people.
Right, but they were Christians. They were
do you know
Christians.
why the
Your
Crusades
claim was,
happened?
your
Do you
claim
know why
was,
the
if
Crusades
you
happened?
no, don't worry about the Crusades. Let's talk about the papal bull or the doctrine of discovery. Right, we're specifically talking about the global south, right, in this particular moment, right? But the doctrine of discovery, the papal bulls, was signed and sanctioned by a pope, a Christian. Okay, so you said if you believe in these things, your life is explicitly better in some kind of way. I forget exactly how you worded it. But like I just said, the religiosity of the people in the global south is way higher, yet they suffer so much worse. So how is it just simply believing in something makes your life better?
Exactly.
That's a
There's
claim.
no correlation between that material suffering.
There is
personal
only
spiritual suffering.
there is
You could be
only
poor,
material
but
suffering.
You'd be good.
There is only material suffering,
No, there isn't.
bro. All right, so
There's
you
internal
can
suffering,
yes,
depression,
yes, that's part of
sadness.
material. That's part of material. Depending on your philosophical leanings, that is still material suffering, right? From a materialist point of view, your mind
How so?
your mind is the product of your brain, right?
Yeah.
And all the suffering that happens to you psychologically is stemming from your brain and your environment and your material conditions, right? Go like read some Marxism, socialism, all that kind of stuff, right? But the reality is, your view is that there's some kind of spiritual suffering. That's fine because you personally believe that there's a spiritual realm. But the reality, the shared reality, is the material, physical realm. Okay, the physical suffering is observable. Like we was having a conversation with Super, it's tangible, right? It's palpable. Okay, yet they're more religious. So how is simply just believing in the stuff in the religious book making life better? How?
So let me explain. Nowadays we have people who just come out and say, I'm a Christian. For example, can I say this like OF? How these OF girls would randomly just get up and say we're Christian, but they still use these platforms. They still dress
So
indecently, but then go around saying we're Christians, right?
so
That's the
that's a
same
no
thing
true
there. There are
Scotsman
people
fallacy.
saying
Right,
we're
look.
Christians.
Just as like a funny like internal critique. Weren't Jesus friends with prostitutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, right then. Funny internal critique that is, isn't it? But that being said, anyway, like you judging them on their use of OF is just ridiculous. That's your personal conservative views, probably instilled onto you and through some religious type of trauma. Anyway, right? But that being said, you've been able to say, oh look, those OF girls are calling themselves Christians. I don't like that. Has nothing to do with the fact that they are Christians. Just like the Pope who sanctioned the doctrine of discovery and murdered millions of Native Americans and Africans was also a Christian. Okay, so that's what you're doing there. Is called a no true Scotsman fallacy.
Oh,
Right?
I do.
You can
understand
think that they're
no
not
one's
good
perfect.
Christians.
They
You
make
yeah, now
mistakes.
no
We
one's
make
perfect. All right,
mistakes.
exactly
That's
right.
one thing
There you go.
Christianity preaches.
But if it all comes from
Christianity
man,
preaches that
if
you're not perfect.
but if
I
Christianity
could try my
fundamentally
best to walk
stems
the
from
path of God,
man,
but I will still make mistakes. Most
right?
notable apostles
All
all
right.
had problems,
So
but
what is the
they
logical
pushed
conclusion?
past it.
What is the
Do you
logical
understand?
conclusion?
In
If
my
Christianity
opinion,
comes from men, right,
you
and men
could
are
give me all
flawed,
the scientific proof and evidence
if
that God
Christianity
doesn't
comes
exist,
from men and men are fundamentally
but I would
flawed,
still believe in
bro,
him.
don't want to hear this. If Christianity comes from men and men are fundamentally flawed, then does it not follow that Christianity is also flawed?
How so? How is Christianity flawed?
Christianity comes from men. You just said men are flawed. All right? So Christianity as a
No,
product of
Christianity
men.
doesn't come from men.
Yes, it
That's
does.
also
Do you
your
realize
claim.
even
That's your
Jesus,
claim that
even
it comes from
Jesus,
men.
who you believe was God, wasn't a Christian. Christianity is
Yeah.
in the context of what we're talking about is a religion
Yeah.
constructed around a set of beliefs, following a guy, a messianic
it's a
figure
religion.
called Jesus. So it comes from men. Okay. So if men are fundamentally flawed, then their creations
Yeah.
will be flawed too. Okay. In the same way you think the OF girl is
Possibly.
flawed,
Possibly.
the Pope is flawed, Trump is
Yeah.
flawed, our bishops are flawed,
Yes, we
our
all
prime
are
minister,
flawed.
right,
all
and
flawed.
Christianity, Judaism, Islam, any
Yeah.
other religion is also the product of men. So they are as much fallible as the men who made them.
Yeah.
Okay, so as long as
Yeah.
that's understood, you're
But
good.
if but if you were to place all religions on a scale, I think
couldn't.
Christianity would top all of it.
No, right.
No,
That's
in terms of
right. So
practices and beliefs.
that's an opinion you can have, right? But I don't think that's something you could objectively say, right? Because it's going to be
Yeah.
that is ultimately going to come down to your subjective opinion. Now, if we were going to try and approach it objectively, we'd have to establish a criteria to measure these various different religions by. Some people do that. It's a whole study called comparative religious studies, I think,
Yeah.
right? Some people do that, right? But at the end of the day, whichever you decide would be the best is based on your cultural leanings already, not necessarily what the book's saying or the people do. Okay, but it would be based on you, what you think is best. My point of view would be the complete opposite, right? You like Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are three of the worst things to ever happen to humankind. Right? The things that they're responsible for and they are still doing today are terrible in comparison to things like Buddhism, Hinduism, asceticism, on and on and on. Zoroastrianism, Meccanism, etc., etc., etc. Right? The big three Abrahamic faiths are responsible for some of the worst things in human history. Okay? Objectively. So like your subjective view about them being comparatively better is just that, a subjective view. Right?
Yeah, I do get that.
Which is fine. You can have it just like you
nice
think things are
conversation,
designed.
though.
You can have that.
Yeah.
Sure, no, sure. It was nice talking to you too,
This was
Bill.
a nice conversation, though. Yeah. See you later, bro.
Hopefully you heard what I said though, right? So something to think about.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Thanks.
Nice talking to you, bro. Take care.
You too.
All right, let's play some game. Yeah, Jainism as well, right? I just like asceticism isn't a religion as well, but yeah, it all comes down to opinion. What's up, Aston? Yeah, I'm somewhat back, pseudo back. Bro, I wasn't even gonna come online today, bro. I wasn't feeling it. I'm still not really feeling it. I wanted to play Zelda, and then I realized I couldn't really play play Zelda while speaking to people because I have to learn the whole game again. What's up, Johnson? Come on up and talk to me about it then if you feel it's just a rage bait. Rainbow, are you okay, bro? But yeah, that was funny. Like, he was so quick to judge the OnlyFans girls, right? Like, I think, do you know what, right? I made this point to one of my sisters a while back. I like conservative values about what people should be or how they should be, right? A lot of that comes from like systemic abuses and just, like really unethical practices. But that being said, one could argue the practice of being an OnlyFans girl, right, who's actually successful at it is like one of the heights of precarious work and entrepreneurialism or solopreneurs, right? Do you know how difficult it would be to be in the 1% of OnlyFans creators that actually makes money from it? Right? That's not just I can show my feet, I can show my body and get paid for it. That is not just that, right? That is high. It's a high degree of business acumen to be able to be successful as an OnlyFans girl or do pornography, right? It's not an easy thing. Like, a lot of people walk around thinking like, oh look, they just show their body, they just like, no, right? If that's the case, why don't you do it then if it's easy, right? Because it's not. So that being said, although like I'm not saying that like it's good. Well, actually, like, who am I to say, right? It's fine if you're into it, you're into it, right? But at the same time, our views on what is like permissible is it's really stupid at the base of it, right? It's not. It's not immoral or unethical. It actually serves quite a constructive offering to society, if you will. But yeah, like, don't get me wrong, there is parts of pornography and stuff like that that is ultra abusive, ultra destructive, like, and just straight up human trafficking. There are, man. But when you're talking about the solopreneurs, the women who are actually taking their life into their own hands, like, you know, like exploiting these tricks and shit, and actually maybe putting somebody back into the economy, more power to them, bro, if that's what they want to do, you know? As long as no one's getting hurt. But yeah, if you think it's just as simple as, oh, they're just unethical, they're sinful because they're showing their bodies, like, bro, if you think it's that simple, you do it. Like, if you think you could just flash the peen and get paid, right, you do it then, right? You think so? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Do you know how many unsuccessful exhibitionists and stuff there are? It's like, it's probably harder than failing in a creative venture. Yeah, I definitely think we invented hell. No doubt about it, Felicia. What's up, Jay? Yeah, some people are. But again, like, alright, so I'm West Indian by like culture, like West Indian British. So culturally we are very conservative, not like in a very deep way, right? And this does go back to the influence of Christianity and slavery, right? So there's like conservative values that are embedded in us in some unethical ways. So even to me, I may not take these things as like, you know, ultra liberal, like do what thou wilt type of ways, but I understand the context in which these kinds of conservative views about how men and women ought act are instilled in us, and really fundamentally it's bullshit, right? Most of it is. It's like there's like, for instance, the idea of purity and sexual purity itself is a perversion of humans. Yeah, sure, I definitely know about Bakanga, but Bakanga's like one of the first people I ever like saw as a black atheist. I was like, fucking hell, right, there's people out here thinking. Big up to Bakanga, excuse my language. But yeah, but what I was saying is, right, the idea and obsession with sexual purity is actually like a perversion of human in the first place, right? Like there's There's this woman called Alanka, right? She's a Slavic philosopher. She's got some really good stuff about sex, right? But anyways, the marital view of relations, the courtship, you know, the actual transmutation into other things, right? You know, like how men would build empires and create all of these crazy things to gain the adoration of women, right? It's the same kind of thing, but it's an invention, right? So what I'm trying to say is all of those stuff, the maritals, the thou should be with only one person alone, love, respect till death, those are all conventions that humans have invented, right? Which are built upon the actual animalistic nature of what a human being is, right? So a critique that Zizek would give on it is, I think it was Thomas Aquinas who may have said it, right? The pursuit of doing sexual activity just for pleasure to a Catholic mind would be animalistic, right? But it's actually the opposite way round, right? The pursuit of, coitus, let's use that word instead, right? To engage in coitus, right, just for pleasure is the human foundation of it. The animal part is for the reproduction, right? The animalistic nature of coitus is just for reproduction. So the pursuit of pleasure on top of that is the human part of it, right? Is the spiritual, the immaterial, is the higher level to it. That the excess pleasure or that surplus enjoyment is the actual human or spiritual higher level to coitus, right? The base level is the animalistic view. We're just like the cat and the dog don't think about, oh, I just want to have some pleasure today. They're like, no, I see that person. I see that animal. I'm in heat, and we're going to breed, right? The higher level to the coitus or sexual experience is that pursuit of pleasure, and it's also the invention of how can you say it? An invention of a fantasy, right? So there's the animalistic layer of just the action, right, which is just for reproduction. But then there's layers of fantasy, which is psychological, immaterial, or to some people, spiritual, that you're engaging in when you have coitus with another person. Right? There's the person you see, but then there's the version of them that you've invented, and there's the version of you they've invented, and there's all these other things happening in between. Right? Man like Freud and those people could explain it better. All that being said, right, the obsession with purity, right, is a perversion of that fundamental part of human nature in the first place. Our ability to enjoy surplus or access surplus enjoyment, or these acts for pleasure psychologically and not just for physical gratification, right? Coitus isn't just for physical gratification. Majority of it is psychological. I may not be explaining this properly, right? There are better people who could do it, but yeah, like. That same obsession with purity is a perversion of what human nature is anyway. And that spills into these ultra-conservative views on how people ought act, ought do. Like, you ought not be an OnlyFans person. You ought not show no midriff. You must be chaste. Don't show no bust. Like, all that kind of stuff. It comes from a perversion. It's like, all right. Another way of looking at it is like this. Europeans, in like, I want to say maybe between 1700s, 1800s maybe, are more engaging in colonialism in the Africas, right? And they start engaging with people who are living different kinds of lives out there in Africa, right? And they may not value, let's say, breasts in the same way that the Western mind values them. So when the Western mind sees an African not value breasts in the same way that the Western mind does, the Western mind goes berserk. If you look on TikTok, it's like, oh, you type in Africa, you see some things you shouldn't really see, right? Because you've already perverted the view of breasts already in the Western psyche. So when you see breasts just being free and not chaste, not hidden, not all of these things, it sends your mind into some deeper perversion, because you can't just appreciate breasts for just being breasts. Like, the female anatomy is just female anatomy. It's now something extra, right? So now it's sexualized, even though it's like it's essential for you to get from being a baby to a man in the first place. I can't really explain it, right? It's a mind fuck. It's a mind fuck, right? But the point of what I'm trying to say is this, right? The obsession with purity is the perversion itself. Right? It's like I can't really explain it better than that. I can't really explain it better than that. Someone like you can get someone who's more clever in these kinds of things to explain it to you. Like just waffling at this point. That could be it there, Gino. Right? That's probably the better way to explain it. Right? But anyways, does anyone actually want to talk about the actual subject we're here to talk about? But yeah, like it was. The point is, it was funny for him saying, "Oh, you know, like OnlyFans girls just calling themselves Christians to scrub their history," and then like Jesus hanging out with prostitutes is like, "Oh, actually, I see the problem." Now, the critique he was given is valid in one way. In one way, I agree with the critique. In this kind of way, the religious rebrand that we see in like popular culture or political history, right? A person does X, Y, Z, gets called to task, right? Turns into XYZ religion. Now all is forgiven, right? Different person, reborn again. From that point of view, I do understand the critique, right? It's bullshit, and it's like it's very cult mentality. It's like, oh, like he's one of us now, she's one of us now, all is forgiven. So that shit I do disagree with, but fundamentally saying that, you know, the OnlyFans model who's decided to become Christian now isn't a real Christian is fallacious in their own world because of the bad shit that's happening in their own world by full-fledged Christians, do you know? Man, like Ronnie Pickering. No, I was never religious like that. Waffle, how did you migrate from that chat to this chat? What are you doing? How did you get there? Oh, you must have saw it scrolling across the screen, innit? Nah. But anyways, right, if you want to come up and talk to me, like the day is actually, it's actually getting pretty damn hot in here. It could just be that I'm just black man blushing. But yeah. We've been on an hour and a half now. But yeah, I'm saying humans invented God. All known gods are psychological constructs, do not exist independently of the mind. If you disagree, feel free to come up and change my mind. Almost got enough points. Lost it. I don't know, passing through, right? I don't know any atheistic academics like that. I think you can have mind if you're a materialist. So, and that being said, I don't think all atheists are materialists anyways. Right? Atheism only informs you on one thing, and it's that you disbelieve in God or gods. That's all it informs you on. So you could be believing in spirits, ghosts, fundamental substances that are defined as consciousness. You could believe in all kinds of things as an atheist. So I don't see why an academic atheist wouldn't use the word mind. Not that I know any. Well, that come to mind anyways. Brukowski, why don't you come up and talk to me? It'd be much easier to talk you through it than talk to chat. What makes you think being an atheist lets you do anything you want? No, he didn't. Jesus didn't even get beaten up that bad, bro. Stop capping. Like, you've seen people in, like, the last 20 years get beaten up worse than Jesus. Like, terrible things have happened. But someone somewhere in the world right now is suffering more than Jesus. Right now as we speak. Right bloody now. Some might argue, like, stage 4 cancer is worse than everything that happened to Jesus. So there's that. Like, Jesus ain't experienced the bloody organs failing from inside you, like, consistent agony for days and days and days. Like, he didn't experience that. He just got beaten up and nailed to a cross. Man didn't even die. Flipping rose again. It's like, yeah, bro, there's many humans that have suffered way more and will continue to suffer way more than Jesus ever did or allegedly did. Okay? There's you know what I mean? Shit. It's too much to even begin. I don't even think that was the worst kind of suffering he could have experienced in that time. It's just a type. They could have tied him to a carriage, all 4 of his limbs, and have horses pull them apart. Instead, that would have hurt a lot more. A number of other things could have happened, though. They could have slowly chopped him into pieces. Kept him alive for days while they did it. That would have hurt a lot more. Could have, like, do you know the amount of medieval torture devices that were invented that are way worse than what happened to Jesus? So they could have psychologically abused him for all of his bloody life. Maybe that would have hurt a lot worse too. You never know. No, I'm not missing a vital context. You're missing a vital context. If you sum up what Jesus' story is to just the fact that he suffered on the cross for you, then you're missing the context. To me, the most important things about Jesus' story is the ideologue bits, the bits where he's disputing how systems should be ran, how people should be treating each other, not dying for sins. Dying for sins is the fantasy. It's the crescendo. It's just a nice ending on the fake story. But the substance is in the interactions with people. Not dying for your sins. Dying for your sins is just, it's like a, one, it's metaphorical fundamentally, and two, it's just a blood sacrifice. No different to an Aztec, no different to XYZ. Right? That's not the point of Jesus' story. Jesus' story is when he's speaking back to power and saying, here's how you should live, here's how you shouldn't live. Here's a good idea, here's a bad idea. That's the point. Right? The sacrifice is goofy. What's up, goat man? How you doing? How could I possibly mislead anybody, bro? It's like they've got like a 2,000+ year head start on me. If anything, I'm trying to take the lead off of you. Trying to take the lead from around your neck. If anything, it's going to be very difficult to do, but I won't be the first to try. I don't believe there's such things as prophets. Obviously not. My action took you by surprise. What did you expect? Prince Vegeta, what's up? What are you doing over there? Everyone's migrated. Welcome. Change your avatar. Roadman. I've never liked that term, bro. Every time I think of roadman, right, I say this with all due respect because I rate our public services, but every time I've heard roadman, it just makes me think of people who clean streets. That's what a roadman makes me think of. Right? It's a really goofy term. I don't like what year people decided to start saying that. But to me, it's so divorced from street culture to even use that term. It's ridiculous. It's like a parody. I like all types of words. Which word should I read? Yo, how you doing?
Hey, hello.
What's your name, bro?
Hey, my name's William. I know I don't have a username.
Say loyal.
William.
Say again.
William.
Wario.
William.
Got you. Right, that was me. I was well off. I thought you said warrior. I heard loyal, then I heard warrior. I was saying, no, wait, Mario name. Like, I didn't want to crack a smile when I said it as well, but.
Oh no, you did.
How you doing,
I
bro?
will say this. Humans didn't make up God, but their definitions of it makes up a different type of God.
Right, so what does that mean?
So basically, you can. I'll just put it in this analogy, and then I'll expand on it. If you think a burrito is only the ones that you can buy from the grocery store as a frozen one, you like cool, but you really don't know like Mexicans really make real burritos and stuff like that. So it's like different type of burritos. So God is more of a force. It's more of an actual.
Well, look, that analogy makes sense to me in one way, but probably not the way you're thinking, right? So in the way, the way that makes sense to me is you're saying God is a category and there are different types of gods.
Yes, so basically the different gods have been shaped off different perceptions or different like areas or cultures. But God transcends all of that really. It's more.
Well, that's kind of what's in question though.
That's what I'm saying, like God is more of a force, and that force is condensed down into an individual.
So why do you think that?
I believe so, yes. that's why I say like it's a complex answer. That's why it's like yes and no. Like God exists, but the human version of God doesn't exist.
So
I'll
we
say
could
that.
both agree that the human version of God is ridiculous. So let's get to this other version of God that you're talking about. What is
Yes.
that, and how can you know it's a thing?
So that version of God is more of a force, like I said. So that isn't just the things you want to focus on. There's something called duality, balance. There's going to be two extremities to everything. That's why there are two polars, and a lot of
Very
people like to
mechanistic.
focus. Um, it's it's just I can say that, but you can just see it in every example of anything anywhere. So
Well, no.
a lot of people,
I could just say I'm a monist. I don't see duality at all, but sure.
okay, well, there's the opposite to everything.
That's what you think. But anyway, like, let me not nitpick that. Understand that's a
Okay.
view that some people have, and I think it works well for explaining some things, but it just doesn't work well for explaining everything. That's just my opinion. You know?
But with that being said, everything balances out. And sometimes we can't see that scale tip or move within our lifetime or within our range because it's not really everything is going.
All right, so that's a very like I'll give you this, right, like a nice thing before a bad thing. I think it's very optimistic to hold that kind of view, but the secondary kind of bit critique is that's a very subjective opinion, right? It's just like a personal opinion. Maybe other people agree with that opinion, but there's nothing about our reality that is objectively true in that way.
And and I agree with you on that because everybody's reality can be very different, very, very much so. And I know that firsthand.
Well, I would
So it
say
is
our
all
shared
about,
reality. I'm not someone that subscribes to individual realities like that. I think our shared reality is what I'm talking about. Just our shared
yeah.
space or space time matter, Earth itself.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
I know
I
people
hear
have.
you.
I agree. People have different experiences of that reality, but I don't think that
Yeah.
they are walking around with their own realities. I don't really think like that.
And why do you believe that?
Why do I believe that?
Yeah.
Because think about it, like let's imagine we was playing a game. Right? The base game is the game. It's coded already. Right? For instance, this game is an RPG or an action RPG. So anyone that ever plays this game can have a variety of different options of how they're gonna customize their character. Right? But they're still customizing their character within predetermined parameters. Ultimately. So the reality are the predetermined parameters, e.g. the ones and the zeros. But the subjective experience of that reality, the meaning that you draw, the abstractions you can make, may be individual to you. But that doesn't change the base reality being zeros or ones. That's what I mean.
And you explained that very well. That is very correct to a certain point. And I will add to that
Mhm.
because that ties into more of the personal perception because when you do go along that shared reality, when you really start to understand more things as you go through that reality, you can make it easier on you or you can make it different for you. And then by that, the whole reality changes. And that is in the same time in the midst of the shared reality of everyone else.
What's the objective part of that though? How can we know that's true for all people and not just a subjective view?
No, it's possible, but it may not be true for all people. That's what I'm saying. It's possible, but it may not all be true because it gets to a while to even get to that.
So yeah, like well, obviously not being too blunt, but I would just consider that another type of belief.
Okay.
You know, it's not bad. It's
I
not a
can see
bad
that.
belief,
That's fine.
but it's not necessarily the
Yeah,
truth.
that's very true. So some things
Whoa.
are lived experiences, so there's no facts behind it, but so that's cool. I can agree with that.
Sure, like, but that's the thing with people's experiences. There's like even us, right? So interesting thing, right? You realize you never like experience your memories. Like they're not recorded; they're reconstructions. It's like even your own memories are your own inventions. So with that considered, it's like people's experiences. I forget the main point I was going to make. It's like sidetracked my own thought. But people's experiences, like, they're not really reliable in terms of determining what reality is. Right? They're good to help build a picture, but they're not reliable. Even like to the point, even our own memories aren't how the thing happened. They're how we want it to be, even if it's bad. Do you know?
Yeah.
So from that point of view, like how reliable are our experiences to inform us of reality?
I got you. I can explain that. So let's say the shared reality is Elden Ring. You start the game as a predetermined class, like you mentioned, same stats as everybody else, but you go through the game and you don't really, you just have a very linear path, just a default path. You don't know about sorceries, you don't learn about blood arts and everything. You pick that up during your individual gameplay. And that individual gameplay can change the whole way that you see and play Elden Ring itself. That's the analogy that I'm trying to make.
Well, that's essentially the same thing I said from the top, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's essentially the same thing. It's like the base game is the base game. Right? We're working with the same material reality, but we're just having subjective experiences of it or subjective opinions about it. But like those subjective opinions don't change the base game. No, so like
over time it does.
No,
Over time,
because like for instance, sticking with the analogy, like we're playing the same game, right? But you decide to use a different class, you become a wizard or whatever. Right? The parameters are still predetermined for you to be able to have this item and do that thing, that action at this time, and end up in this part of the game. Right? That's still predetermined by the base reality. Like your experience of playing the game in that way is unique to you, but it's still a base reality. Someone else could play the exact same way, go for it exactly the same as you did. Do you know? So like, how can I explain this in a better way? The analogies kind of fall into bits, right, by playing the game. You, as an individual player of the game, can't actually change the game. That's essentially what is being said. You can interpret different things about the game, but you can't change the game itself. Does that make sense?
okay, I will agree with you on that, because my rebuttal on that is a personal thing. So like a personal lived experience. So yes, I will agree with you on that. Yes.
So what's a personal thing?
It's so say for instance, when you get by leveling up and getting towards that class that you're building towards, the way that you see and even going about it, playing it, you'll have much more excitement, you'll have much more joy, you'll play Elden Ring longer, you'll play it in more duration, like you'll be more eager to do it, so you'll keep doing it, and in the process of playing and doing it, you level up more and keep getting better and better. You can help other players, you can do all types of stuff from just having a level of enjoyment as you progress and go towards your goal of that certain class. And then when you get there, you can keep going and get to some other class or something like that. And that's the same way with life. So as you expand on that threshold of your class, life becomes different in the way you view it. You get more assets, you get more connections and all types of stuff.
No, I don't disagree with what you're saying, but like, what was that the fundamental point that you wanted to make though? Like, how does this tie into the main topic we're talking about with gods and such?
Because a lot of things are lived perceptions, and a lot of times we think about God under other people's perceptions, and it's very limiting at times. So yes, that's why I say gods are created by humans. That's and I threw it away.
That was the main point that we were circling back around to. Right, so yeah, we agreed that there's invented gods, but you said there's still a real God, and you describe it as a force. And I was asking you, how can you know?
Just something has something has to be in charge of what's going on in our day-to-day reality. Like something has to be behind all of this.
Why?
What else? What other option would there be?
Nobody being in control of it.
So it just exists and it's just here by random.
I don't
And
think
we're
just
existing in it.
so no one being in control of something isn't the same as something being random. Do you know?
I'm talking about reality itself. I'm not talking about details or anything. I'm talking about what you can see, feel, touch, what you are, everything.
Yeah.
Like the whole everything.
So saying that there's not a mind in control of it isn't the same as saying it's all random. So you said there has to be someone in control of it all, and I'm saying to you, why?
Very good. It is so tedious and calculated that it's not just here. Like even like if you take your hand and you literally just move your fingers, you can see the veins moving down. Well, you can't see it, but they're like it's like playing the piano. It's so everything is so calculated from even the plant, everything. So if
that's an opinion, brother.
There's a system behind that.
That's an opinion. Now
systems
systems can operate without like a mind having intention or agency over the systems. Like you could say there's like abstract governing laws of the universe or nature, if you will. But no one has to be behind every intention that those laws produce or everything that those laws produce, you know.
But think about it. What made the things that are even being laws opposed on?
Hey, I don't know.
Those forces that need laws.
I don't know, right? I wouldn't, but my view is this: I wouldn't boil it down to a who, because again, that centers around us. That's a human view. If we start looking at things like who, then we're right. Then what? No, but we're right back where we started in the conversation. We both agreed that these human invented gods are ridiculous, right? But if we start invoking a who being responsible for everything, we're doing the same thing again. We're just creating another version of it. So we'd be being ridiculous again.
No, it's not. It's not about labeling it. It's not about trying to quantify it. It's just existing in it. It's not. It's when you put a label on it, you try to put it in within your range of understanding. That's when it becomes a god, and that's what I'm not doing. I'm just
that is what we're doing now, isn't it? Like by trying to explain it, we're trying to categorize it. We're trying to distill it to its fundamental parts and categorize it as something. But if I say to you, look, I don't have good reasons to think it's a someone or some intention behind it, I'm kind of I'm not permitting myself to categorize it as a something in that way, unless I'm given a good reason to. You know?
So you feel that everything is just a pre-made system and it's just running.
The reality is I don't know, and I don't think I can ever know for certain.
That's true. That's true. I can understand that.
You know, I don't know.
I can agree with that. Yeah, that's true.
but what I can know is that humans invent gods. That's what I can know.
Yeah.
So that's the problem that we keep running into, right? And as far as I understand it, there's no reason for me to think whatever might exist out there is the same thing as what we've invented here on Earth and the many thousands of versions of what we've invented on Earth. There's no reason to think they're the same.
I can see what you mean now. I can see because I'm piecing in together everything that you. Yeah. I can see.
How could you know, right? And specifically, we keep talking about how this thing is supernatural and it's beyond our physical understanding and how it transcends all of these like things that are in our reality. But then how can we have access to these things outside of our reality while we're part of reality? Like to make large claims about those things is ridiculous. But if you was to take like a naturalistic or a scientific view and be like, okay, what can I study about the natural universe? What can I record and have someone else intersubjectively or objectively check out after I'm long gone? Then that adds, you're adding to something here. You're not just like making random assertions that you want people to believe. You're actually offering something to humans.
It's very true. It's very true.
So, whereas if I just keep offering you like random beliefs that I need you to hold in order to agree with me so I can live with you peacefully, I'm putting limitations on humanity. I'm now saying to you, hey, you don't need to find answers because I've got an answer for you already. So why search? Why study? Why learn if I've got an answer already? There's this deity of some kind that did it all, and everything we're doing is circular for it, by it, because it wants it. Do you know?
Yeah.
I don't think it adds. I think it's problematic.
It's very much so. Yeah. Yeah, I can really see your point of view now, and that's making a lot more sense now. So I can see how that train of thought and that collective thinking makes a lot of sense. So
Well, I've hoped I've changed my mind today. Maybe I don't know.
oh no. I still believe what I believe. Like I know what I know to my heart and everything, but I can very much so understand your perspective very, very clearly now.
And what might it be then? Let's get a summary on it. Ooh,
basically,
magic.
like, you know, we all do exist within this system, and it's running, and we're doing what we're doing, and it's not anything that we can really change outside of that. We're all playing the same game, and it's not putting what's happening in that game under someone's authority. A god is what humans are doing, and then that comes with a lot of rules and regulations because of that God said so. And a lot of people act different out of that, but no, it's
So you winging the hell out of that answer, boy, but I appreciate it. But yeah, alright, it was good talking to you, William, bro. I appreciate you. Alright, take care. Alright. Maybe we come back in the evening, perhaps. I don't know if I want to stay on this all day. It's like we're getting to that point in the day where it's getting really hot. It's like this weekend's going to be a heat wave, they say. he was winging the shit out of that answer. You know, like in school when a teacher would ask a question and like you just start winging it just to hope that she like takes over and just gives you the answer, just like ends your misery. Like, yeah, it's supposed to be really hot over the weekend. It was really bad yesterday as well. Damn right, drummer. Damn right. But yeah, I mean, I don't fully understand what his kind of belief system was, but at least he's somewhat aware of the very real reality, funny enough, of humans inventing gods in some capacity. At least he seems to be aware of that. Only problem is getting to the understanding of why should he think that this force is anthropomorphic still, and not just say, oh, like, there's a natural universe, let me just study it and see what it does, rather than like putting things onto it. I'm so dead. Well, yeah, that's the thing. From that, like, internal critique of Christianity, like, it very much no. So just the flood story alone is obviously passed down from ancient Samaria, but them trying to keep that idea alive in the first place, F's over there later spinning on what God is supposed to be. Judaism as well, because yeah, like, why would a God who's all powerful, essentially all knowing, be able to experience regret? Doesn't make sense, right? So he experienced regret so much so that he decides to unalive all of his current creations except from one guy's family. That sounds very human. It's like quite childish even. It's all rudimentary. I don't know. So just that kind of the underlying psychology in it just f's it over itself. If you need like a good cover story for the ridiculous parts of history that you can't explain, like in One Piece, we've got that like whole period of history that everyone's like all hush hush about, no one can explain it. Then sure, like just fill the gap with a fantasy. It should suffice for a while, but now it's just not doing that job anymore. What do you mean, Alexis? Yeah, the Noah story is wild. Just the age of Noah, like his family populated the earth, like all the animals, how they got there. God, God's clear failings with his omnipotence and stuff like that, omniscience. Yeah, there's a lot of wild things about Noah's story from an Abrahamic point of view, but a Noah story in like an ancient Sumerian sense is like, okay, maybe they had different purposes for it to do it like that. But the shit that Abrahamic faiths tack onto it, makes it get worse. It's like I remember when I don't know if you guys were here, but a couple of weeks back I spoke to a Jewish rabbi. So I'm reading a book, like I keep putting it down and picking it up. It's called Unholy Alliance, Religion and Atrocity in Our Time, right? And I was reading about the invention of Holocaust theology. So there was a dude called L. Rubenstein, and he was critiquing. Right, so in Judaism, I'm going to try and make this all circle back in some way. In Judaism, they consider the history of God in the Torah as actual history. So it's not just like a religious text to Jews, it's actual history. So the covenant with God is an actual event. Moses, Abraham, all of that is an actual event, right? The L. Rubenstein guy was critiquing the fact of, if this is actual history and God has a covenant with the Jews, how could God allow for Auschwitz to happen, right, or the Holocaust? His view was, obviously because he's a rabbi as well, he's a Jewish theologian, he doesn't want to become an atheist. So he presents the dilemma to the Jewish, or the jury, as this. It's either God broke the covenant between us and him, or God is not the way in which we've been describing him this whole time. Okay? How that links back is when I started to question the Jewish rabbi about it, what he defaulted to was an anecdote that another rabbi told him, and he said, you think that, essentially he said, you think the Holocaust was bad? God flooded the entire world one time. So it was like he used the Noah story as like oh, you think that's bad? Look at this kind of thing, right? And it's really really bad thinking, you know. Out of that, there's another guy called Steiner, I think, right? There's a Jewish theologian and philosopher writer, but his view was more like, no, this is it was part of God's plan to get us to Israel to build the Holy Land. But Steiner also holds the view that the real Holy Land of Jews isn't a place. It can't be a place, because the moment it becomes a place, it undoes the religion. So they're supposed to have a borderless nation. The nation of Israel is supposed to be wherever the Jews are. So it's supposed to be a psychological realm and not an actual place. But that being said, with the events of Holocaust, one part of Jews have looked at it like how Rubenstein's looking at it, and he's saying God is either not what we think he is, or he's left the covenant with us. And the other side of Jews are saying no, the Holocaust and Hitler needed to happen so we could get this eschatological kind of ending point, right, where we're going to, kind of thing. But the rabbi that I spoke to couldn't confront that reality on either sides, so instead he just coped and made it like he caped for God and said, "Oh, you think that was bad? He flooded the whole world, right?" It's like, so yeah, the Noah story is effed in many ways, right? And it does, like someone said, highlights the incompetency of the God of the Bible. It's like how can you experience regret and have all that power? It's either you didn't experience regret, or it's just like we've got a made up version of you that's just wrong. I'm just yapping at this point. Hey, appreciate you being Leaf Parry. Hey, thank you for the gifts, Michael Lloyd. But yeah, I haven't been able to really lock in on my studying as of recent. It's kind of annoying me. But the more I do get into the book, is the more interesting things I do learn. As you would, right? But I just haven't like mentally contextualized all of the different pieces yet to like be able to tell you about it in a coherent way. Yeah, in a way, Matthew. It's like shit. I think that was bad. Remember when that guy did da da da? Oh, and another part, right? So there's a Zizek, like it's a joke, but it's not really funny. It's funny in when he tells it, but it's not gonna be funny when I tell it. So pressure reduced, right? But based on that same kind of two ideologies of Holocaust theology, because Holocaust theology is actually like liberation theology, but for Jews, right? Ironically, the Jews that went through all that they went through in World War II still are quite very racially, let's just say racist to black people and everything black people have been through. Like, they just don't care, right? And the same thing, they are that way with Christians and with Muslims, and interchangeably, right? Some black people don't care either, right? So it's not just the Jewish thing, okay? But that being said, right, Holocaust theology is born out of that. So they're like, oh yeah, the bad things needed to happen so we could get to the good things. Just like the people who were slaves and went through the civil rights took Christianity and started saying, oh, the bad things needed to happen so we could get to the good things. It's the same kind of caping that they're doing for God. But the Zizek joke is this, right? And he's trying to, I'm trying my best to deliver it, right? But basically, there are 3 Jewish men, and they're in heaven. They've all passed away from the Holocaust. It's an offensive joke, so apologies if you take it badly. But the point is just like kind of tie in. So there's 3 Jewish men in heaven, and they're having a conversation, and they're laughing and joking about how each one of them died in Auschwitz. And one of them saying, you remember when that German knocked you over and you bumped your head before you even went into the chamber and you passed away, right? And they're laughing about it. And God's observing them, and God says to one of them, like, I can't understand how you can laugh about this, right? And this is like, the joke is God's asking the Jews, like, how could you possibly make light of the Holocaust, right? And one of the Jews embraces God and he holds him and he says, hey, it's all right. You had to be there to understand it, right? And it's a funny joke because it exposes the reality of like the overarching thing. Obviously, God wasn't there because he allowed it to happen, right? So it speaks to both Steiner's argument, I think, and Rubenstein's argument. Rubenstein saying the covenant was broken, or God isn't how we imagined it, and Steiner is saying, this needed to happen for X, Y, Z, right? But overarchingly, God obviously wasn't there, right? So I made a mess of the joke, but yeah. It's funny when the right smart person tells it, but when I tell it, not so good. But yeah, like yeah, you had to be there. Anyways, I think we've run our time into the ground. It's like butchering Zizek jokes. It's not gonna make it. Nah. No, like I'm not smart enough to be a comedian. That's the problem, right? Comedy takes high level intelligence, like really good comedy, right? because the whole point of comedy is to point out the contradiction, the jarring part of reality, and that jar is what produces a laugh in a human in the first place. It's a mixture of nervousness and like stupor in this sort of way. That's what makes things funny. It's that jarring thing about reality, like whether it's just like subtle or not. What produces a laugh in a human is fundamentally nervousness about, oh shit, there's some truth here that's kind of hard to deal with. So, in it, go man, that's true, and so on and so on. I love a bit of joke. So that being said, right, if anyone ever accuses me of being racist, they should know my favorite philosopher is a Slav, and he's racist. I'm joking, but I'm not. So yeah, I think maybe we should come back a bit later. But I don't know what it is, right? But Slavoj Žižek and Alanka, they're both Slavic, right? But they are fucking good at comedy, like. But they do it on such a subtle level, like that whole sphere of intellectuals. They're just really good at it. Interestingly enough, Centaur, right? With things I've learned recently, I don't think black people can actually be racist, because racism goes beyond the epithet, the slur, right? The slur and the epithet is a byproduct of the bigger system at play. So black people can't actually express racism in a, well, I say meaningful here, not in like a good way, but meaningful as in like an impactful way. So black people aren't actually capable of expressing racism on that level. Now, a lot of people get in their feelings about like discriminatory actions and stuff like that, but so yeah, like even that goes back to another Zizek point about plurality, multiculturalism, and what happens, right? So his view is like, no, like we're not supposed to be pluralistic in this way. Like you're supposed to have your culture, I'm supposed to have my culture, they're supposed to have their culture. We can coexist as long as we acknowledge that we don't understand each other because we don't even understand ourselves, right? So from that point of view, it's like when an Asian person embraces like Pan-Asianism or whatever, or Pan-Chinese, or a Turkish person embraces like Turkishism or whatever, and then an Anglo person embraces Pan-Angloism or Anglicanism, whatever how they call it. You know, like I'm just trying to like use the words correctly, but they're not, right? But when they express this kind of pro them, who they are, the context of expressing the pro who you are changes based on the context of history. So when the oppressed, the current, like, so we live in systems called hegemonies, right? Which is basically the power and control of a specific group of people, right? So currently in the Western paradigm, we exist, black people, white people, Asian people exist in a white hegemony. Some people would use a different word to describe that and call that white supremacy, okay? But hegemony is like the more academic term for it. That being said, given the context of white hegemony, right? When a white European expresses the pro-them part, it's different than when a Native American expresses a pro-them part, when a native when a native Asian expresses the pro-them part, because of the history and the disparity between the two. So now when an Anglican or an Anglo person expresses the pro-them or the pan-them part, they miss being able to take into account the years or the centuries of oppression that they've expressed already, right? So it's not an equal type of being pro me. Now, being pro you and your people shouldn't be anti someone else, but given the specific context of their history, expressing pro me, right? So we're in a hierarchy already, and I'm at the top of the hierarchy. I'm literally at the pinnacle of the pyramid, and everyone else is underneath me. I've already got it made, essentially, systemically. Now, if me at the top of the pyramid, I start saying I'm pro me, right, explicitly, even though the system is made to be pro me, if I start saying it explicitly, it now moves beyond being, yeah, I just love me and my people, to fuck everyone underneath me, right? Because at the point where I'm saying I'm pro me, I'm already at the top of the pyramid. So being pro me just further pushes everything down. It's a compression of resources, of education, of everything, okay? So there's a difference when a black person says they're pro-black to when a white person says they're pro-white. The only difference is the historical context behind white hegemony. Black people haven't had a black hegemony. So if it so ever happens that black people end up in power and then they start saying I'm pro-black whilst being in power, now that's racism, okay? So like you can say there's glimpses and flashes of it happening in South Africa to an extent, right, with Malema, but the context of what's happening with Malema and South Africa is the same expression of white hegemony, the invasion of white Europeans in Africa and the things they've done to the lands and the peoples. So at the point where Malema saying kill the whatever, right, he's still only combating the pyramid that's already in play. He's not at the top of the pyramid saying kill the people underneath me, right? So from that context, you can't, until you're at the top of the pyramid and the structure is working in your favor, you can't actually express racism in the same way as someone else can who's at the top of the pyramid. Right? Does that make sense? Okay, so you could be at the you could be at the bottom of the pyramid with the Slavs, with the Italians, with the Spanish, with the German, with the American, and call each other all kinds of horrible, terrible names, right? Even feel disgust when you see each other, right? But ultimately, you're still all at the bottom of that pyramid structure. So your power to actually culturally affect those people, financially, education, health-wise, law-wise, is very minuscule compared to the person at the top of the pyramid. So if the person at the top of the pyramid was to say, I'm pro-me, and use the slurs, now everything underneath that pyramid is taking a hit, right? So it's a little bit different. There's punching up and there's punching down. So it's kind of different, right? That's not to say every individual white person has access to the top of the pyramid. That's the problem with the pushback against, what do they call it? White privilege, right? So you got the average person can come up and say, oh, I don't experience white privilege though. I'm poor like you, I've got a drinking problem, da 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 da. Yeah. You as an individual, right? You don't experience white privilege from the pro point of view, right? Meaning you don't get the surplus that the guy at the top of the pyramid gets, right? But what you also don't experience is all the barrier to entries everywhere. Those things are like so there's like a plus and there's like a minus of what do they call it? It's like my mind. I just said it. Right, white privilege, right? So white privilege is not being stopped and searched. White privilege is not being barred from certain financial and educational opportunities, right? It's not just getting the money, not just getting the education, not just getting the opportunity. It's not being stopped from getting it, right? So the person who doesn't see the plus bit, the person that only sees the plus bit cries that I don't have privilege though, right? They just miss the things that aren't happening to them, right? That's the problem with the pyramid structure itself. Okay, so if the tables were ever reversed, which probably will never happen because like culturally black people just don't seem to be there yet anyways, then maybe they would be able to experience that, right? But white people can't actually experience that. Now they can experience it amongst themselves, right? Just like I said, my favorite philosopher currently is a Slavic European, right? The history of the things that have happened to them in Europe and between the Asians is pretty damn deep. Other Europeans don't even treat them like fellow Europeans. So within their own like sphere of like hues, they've got racism within themselves against themselves, right? Structurally. But outside hues, black, brown, etc., don't have that kind of influence racially on white people. They can't, given the historical context of what's happened. Not to say it will never change, and like the laws we was having earlier on, if you can't refuse free will, then you don't have free will. If someone has to give you equality, then you don't have equality. It's unlikely they will ever experience what it's like to be on the other side of the table, right? Sad as it is. Then again, why believe in God because of that, right? But Centaur, I see you, but I'm trying to end the stream. I'm yapping too much. Yeah, I know Frank Zanu. I knew about Frank Zanu before he became an ultra conservative, problematic person. Now I see, like, put it this way, I see the coonery of Frank Zanu, but I also see the strategy of Frank Zanu as well. Right? So there's that. Like, for every how can I explain this, right? Because I don't want to give the wrong message here, but so I'll use an analogy. Every time you see a duck on a pond swimming, right, you don't see the feet underneath it. Okay, it just looks calm and doing what it's supposed to do. So, in the same way, Frank Zanou could be considered a COON, or another example, Kemi Badenoch could be considered a COON, right? COON, right? Underneath the veneer could be something else at play, right? So a different kind of strategy. It could be, but it could also not be, you know? It could be exactly what it looks like, but it could be something else too. So I say that to say this, right? Frank Zanou gets some things right in terms of academic approach, right? Or looking at economy, but he gets other things wrong culturally, right? But I think why he gets the things wrong culturally is coming from where he comes from and how they've been actually indoctrinated to view European and westernized culture as superior to their own. I think that's what plays out in Zanou's kind of ideology. In the same way, I think that's what plays out in Kemi Badenoch's kind of ideology. Like, if you see the videos of Kemi Badenoch speaking, is it Yoruba, going viral, it's like, okay, like, people will see that on a surface level from a pop view and be like, oh, she's actually one of us kind of thing, she's just playing the game, right? But they won't actually deep what's underneath that actual, you know, expression of her actual culture, but who she is currently. What is she actually saying there? Like, I only speak in this kind of Twee's Ghanaian, I think, right? But I only speak in this kind of vernacular when I'm amongst you people. But I'm pointing to where I actually am placed in society abroad by doing it this way. I'm not explaining it properly, but yes, the ultra conservative, like, you know, pull yourself up by your bootstrap shit can be some serious, like, raccoon shit. It really can be. But there's also a potential strategy in that as well. Okay, like spook who sat by the door type shit. Okay, but you can't be sure with everybody, right? As they say, right? Not every brother's a brother, like, but you can't be sure. Now, that being said, people probably question my tactics and like, you know, strategies, the way I do things, right? But I got my reasons. Okay. I said Lake of Fire. I said Lake of Fire, you know. I got my reasons. Matthew, was it you who asked me about Zanou? Why did you ask me about Frank Zanou? But yeah, like, put it to you like this, right? A problem is a problem, right? And different people are going to have higher levels of analysis of that problem. So solutions will be offered from different sides of the political spectrum, on different sides of the cultural war. Personally, I say make the best solution win, but then you still also got to consider the larger scheme in play, right? What would be the end goal for someone like Zanou? What would be the end goal for someone like Candace Owens? What would be the end goal for someone like Kemi Badenoch? What is the end goal that they're actually moving to? That's what you need to consider. Okay. As far as strategy goes, yeah, like you can Clayton Bigsby up as much as you want, right? If there's a good strategy behind it, right? But if not, what's the end goal for that? You know, it's like earlier on I was listening to a TikTok with a guy who's talking about the history of I think it's Yoruba, right? And how basically it's more recent in history than people think it is. It's based on this guy that got saved by some Europeans, converted to Christianity, came back and then wrote the whole Bible in their language and like mixed in pieces of their faith in it. To me, he's an op. He's an op to African people historically. His name is Samuel or something, right? But in the context of their actual experience, what he did is an offering of some kind, right? A tangible, useful offering. So like, not catching me being optimistic here, but some good can be taken out of bad things too, you know. And there's always going to be different interpretations on what is actually occurring depending on who you talk to. But that being said, right, I'd love to talk more about this type of stuff, but oh wow, I didn't know. I got a. Oh, that's why it went down. So we got a violation for somebody. That's why the audience went down. One of the callers got a violation. I just didn't check the thing. Right, anyways, I'll come back on later on and we'll talk a bit more about this. Centaur, you be there and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. Talk this black. Blickety black. Talk this black shit for a bit. I appreciate you, right? Take care, guys. YouTubers. Like, we can get away with talking a lot deeper on YouTube, bro. Like, TikTok is, like, ultra censored. Let me just, see what their comment them I say. What humans can God or God created humans? Debate question. What's up, Saturo? I do think it's a deep question, but I think the answer is very clear. Humans did invent gods, right? But what's not answered is what created the whole universe, or if something at all. What created humans, if something at all, right? That's what's not answered. But there's no reason to consider gods the same thing as that. That's the reality that I've arrived at. But now I'm gonna leave. Now I'm gonna love ya and leave ya. Hope you guys appreciated a little break from me. You can now appreciate the show.